Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Flintlocks and Fireballs, where a handful of mad actors will attempt to survive the treacherous waters of Dungeons and Dragons. I am your host and Dungeon Master Jason Phelps, and I am joined, as ever, by Robbie Cassandra Complex Bellekom, Sam Cassandra's Complex Burns, and Ellie Cassandra Complex Sparrow.
Cassandra is very complex.
Oh, yes.
Her future seeing powers get very out of hand.
Not that anyone really believes them, but, you know.
No.
Welcome to episode 48.
Oh my god, we're nearly at 50. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Or to use the inventive bingo term, 4 dozen. Sometimes bingo terms are just, you know, what they say on the tin.
Bingo terms are shit.
They really vary. Like, there's a reason why people go, like, you know, 2 fat ladies and...
2 little ducks.
Yeah, 2 little ducks and so on, because those are the only actually good ones.
There's some
I only
weird
really know
ones.
them from adverts that are on before the chase, which is sponsored by some sort of bingo. And they've gotten super weird. It used to be the people from the chase playing bingo. Now it's just them sort of appearing in thought bubbles, accusing people of not doing what they should be. It's really weird. It has nothing to do with bingo.
I know what the bingo company is, but I'm not going to mention them because that would be free advertising.
Yeah, and let's face it, I don't really want to be sponsored.
I don't really want to be sponsoring...
and they wouldn't sponsor us.
No, they wouldn't be my choice.
Boring.
While bingo is definitely one of the most sort of socially acceptable forms of mass gambling in Britain, I'm still not going to go there. Speaking of gambling, it's time to throw the dice
Shh, no.
and predict which way they will land up by asking future us what messages from the future, or rather the present, I should say. Hey there, past me. Ready to mess with everyone? Yes. All right then. Pre-answer my questions, and I'll ask them. Got it? Yes. Wait a minute. You came up with all of the answers before you knew what the questions were, didn't you? I did, as a matter of fact. Did you actually think to write those questions down? No. Well, you've gone and made my life bloody difficult, haven't you, you pillock? Go fuck yourself. Joke's on you. If I do that, I'm dooming you to do it eventually as well. Hey there, it's Future Jason with messages from the present. Libris Arcana offers monthly or quarterly dice subscriptions. Head over to librisarcana.com, and for less than $12, just under £9, you'll receive a set of 7 premium dice and 1 randomly selected bonus die every month to sate the will of the die-hungry beast below. This month's set is Glitter Bomb, a translucent set packed with fine multicoloured glitter. It's all the fun of a real glitter bomb tucked into a neatly contained set of polyhedrals, and with significantly less vacuuming required after the fact. Now, one thing Libris Arcana is sorely lacking in is a set of sufficiently pirate-themed dice. So, here's my favourite historical pirate, and a suggestion for the dice she might represent. Zheng Xi, also known as Zheng Yixiao, she was a former prostitute who married the famous pirate Zheng Yi, already feared and competent, and then outshone him. After Zheng died, she co-opted the expected succession by his adopted son Zheng Bo Zai, and made Zheng Bo her second-in-command and new husband. She forged a terrifying fleet of 1,500 ships and 80,000 men, or, if you're on the conservative side of history, 300 ships and 20,000 men. Legends can grow in the telling, establishing a strict system of conduct and loot sharing, and enforcing it with an iron fist. She terrorized and extorted the whole of the South China Sea, and defeated the Chinese Imperial Navy on 2 separate occasions, bombarding Shanghai and eventually brokering an amnesty. She and her pirates would stop their piracy, keep their wealth, and retire in luxury. She lived to the grand old age of 69, enjoying a relaxed retirement as a wealthy brothel keeper. I could imagine a marbled charcoal and carmine set for the black and red flag fleets under her command, shot through with swirls of gold for her wealth and successful retirement. listen up for a spot from our friends over at the D&D Grandma during the break this episode. If you're in the southwest, you can catch Sam and the Circle of Spears once again at the Museum of Witchcraft in Boscastle, as the museum is hosting a Victorian evening with M.R. James, Saturday the 8th of June at 8 p.m, for a performance of a number of traditional ghost stories suitable for all the family. Tickets are £7.50 from circleofspears.com or the museum directly. And that's it for announcements this time. Back to you, Past Jason. And thank you very much, future Jason.
Why are you like this?
Why are you doing this?
That
Last one was just,
Alright, so
On that disturbing note.
I think it is time for Flintlocks and Fireballs. Our land stands on the sabre's edge.
Our cities are a powder keg.
Brother chains brother, no one's free. A life on land is short, you'll see.
So gather your muskets, gather your spears, we'll plunder the shores of Calcinea. No kraken, storm or spell we fear, so come and sail with us, my dear.
Previously on Flintlocks and Fireballs. The party have successfully survived the dangerous and trap-filled vaults of Destin Colleen, avenged his death, although that may not necessarily have been their goal, and slain the glutton. In the process, acquiring the journals of Michel d'Evangelo and finding the location of Fingersnap's lair. However, before they can head to the town of Treachery in order to investigate, they first need to get out of Kion, and preferably rescue as many people as they can in the process. Also, they have learned some disconcerting revelations about the future, thanks to the powers of foresight that the Eye of the Storm has now granted Celestia Stardust. Armed with existential horror, the party set out...
My favourite kind of knife.
from the otherwise secure little fortified mansion of Destin Colleen, and made their way across the city and across the water, evading a small patrol of Sawagin, riding sharks, to reach the fortified island castle of St. Antoine's Chateau. You've just been met by the guards on the shore, who challenged you. You identified yourselves, announced that you were friends of one Alton Appleblossom, and trusting you based on the fact that you seem to be fleeing the Sawagin and don't appear to hold obvious ill intent towards the survivors, you are being escorted now into the chateau by a small honour guard of 6 armed soldiers, a mix of humans and halflings. The soldiers themselves are now marching you along up the sides of the bank. And here, now that you make your way up, you're able to see a little bit of how things are managing here on St. Antoine's Chateau. Conditions are cramped. It seems that a large number of people who escaped the devastation caused by the Kraken and its heralds, let us say, and those who were able to flee the rising dead made their way here. If anything, it seems a little bit more cramped than the Gluttons' small enclave on the northern side of the city. You can see figures, many of them dirty. Despite the somewhat brackish water of the bay, there's not perhaps a great deal of ability or perhaps inclination to wash, given everything else that's happening. People are huddled in places, one or two, but most of them just seem to be trying their best to get on with their lives with a sort of grim resolution. People are moving about, carrying things, funneling water, fresh water that they've been able to gather, or supplies up towards the many ranks of men and women that are manning the walls of the chateau, especially the front gate. You can see a single, well, just less than a full battalion of cannon appear to have made their way onto the island. These are not the original cannons, the heavy gun emplacements that were found upon the walls of the chateau. Those were destroyed when slagged from the air by the Kraken's lightning cascade. Instead, these appear to be mobile cannons that were brought in by the army during the fight with the revolutionaries. 6 of the 8 cannon have survived. 4 of them are along the front gate, pointed down the bridge that would allow one to gain access. The only land access without some manner of watercraft, swimming, or flight. The remaining 2 are pointed out towards the bay, one on 2 different walls. They seem to have full crews on them. And you do notice that while many of the armed figures here are wearing the tattered but quite heavy and protective clothing that you recognise as the ramshackle non-uniform of the resistance. Well, not the resistance exactly, the revolutionaries. There are also a few people who, while they have for the most part shed the distinctive navy blue uniform jackets in lieu of more civilian clothing, are still wearing the blue trousers and, well, very, at this point, blood and mud stained white shirts of army officers. Well, only a couple of them seem to be officers, mostly just enlisted soldiers, who, for the sake of protection, appear to have sided with the very soldiers they'd been attacking a month before. As you are making your way along, the fellow who is leading the honour guard looks to you. So, have you been hiding out on the North Bank, or...?
Well, for the past little while, yeah.
Yeah, not far from there.
Really, whereabouts, if you don't mind my asking? He looks you a little suspectly at you when you confirm this.
Not far from the cathedral.
Oh, you've been resting up. You've been taking shelter with the bishop then?
In a basement, not far away.
Not exactly, but yeah.
In a basement.
Yeah. Found a house with a really good basement. We were lucky. But you can't stay in a basement forever, obviously.
No. Well...
Had a lot of food in there, though.
Do you have any...
No, hence why we left.
He sees you shake your head. Fair enough. Oh,
I give the other two a look. Like, just go with it.
Yeah. Corzin nods.
sorry, had to check. We've had some infiltrators try to make their way in from the Gluttons lot to the north. I think they want to get hold of the weapons or any other supplies.
Ah.
Divide and rule.
Well, indeed.
Are you short on food here, then?
Well, with the Saragin in the bay, and I'm going to be blunt here, if we had any fishing craft capable of fishing, we would be evacuating on them.
Fair.
So
That makes sense.
we have some stores left over. There were a few that weren't destroyed from the castle stores when the fires broke out here. And every now and again we'll send parties into the city to raid what we can. Try and find things in storehouses, but it's not easy. There were a few stores over in the old arsenal, which would have been very useful, but since the dead started rising, a number of the smart ones, the whites, have started taking up residence there.
Ugh.
So little.
I was gonna ask, how did all you lot end up in here? Because I thought as soon as the Kraken hit, this place was pretty much finished.
The Kraken took out the cannons and the powder supplies. At least I assume that is what happened, based on the fact that they were all on fire and lightning struck here repeatedly. And it was crawling with Chul. But a handful of the original defenders made it through, and once it was done with that, we were starting to get together resistance at the city hall. The Marcel, the leader there, he was making a stand against the army. He gives a scowl and a bit of a side eye towards a passing soldier who is wearing those army fatigues from the waist down. But I did not see it, but Louise, and he gestures to a human woman marching by you. Louise saw what happened. Louise chips in. One of those Chul got him with the tentacles, just pulled him in, cracked his head, sucked out.
Nasty way to go.
Indeed. She nods, and a few of them lower their heads respectfully. But after that, we were the halfling picks up again. I believe his name was Jacques. Jacques picks up. We were running around a little bit like headless chickens at that point until Apple Blossom stepped up. Mm-hmm. Quickly, we realized that we couldn't hold the position, not with soldiers coming from the west, Jewel and those living waves coming in from the east. And he was the one who suggested we pull back to the chateau. Did a fighting retreat, managed to make it there, fought off the Chul that were in place, took the walls, and just fought for the rest of the day. Tried to funnel everyone we could in here until, for whatever reason, they decided to pull away. So perhaps they'd had their fill.
Oh, very tenacious for Apple Blossom.
Nasty business.
Not to say that I'm surprised.
Yeah, I'm not remotely surprised.
Yeah.
There were some close calls for him as well. For all of us.
I'm sure.
I mean, he is the embodiment of the halfling luck. Like, it's crazy.
Louise cuts in. I will say, I saw him get hit by one of the one of those chul. They wrapped their tentacles around him. He went just completely limp. Grabbed him by the chest, got him all the way into its mouth. When PAM! A cannonball hit it right in the back, pulled it off him.
That's insane.
Wow.
You know, sometimes I wish I was a fucking halfling.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not surprised by anything at this point.
I mean, with Apple Blossom, I don't think I can be surprised anymore.
The Jack, who is also a halfling, rolls his eyes. Well, you know what they say, halflings, lucky in war, not so in love. Anyway.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, some of them are. I nudge Corzin. In, I guess, the side of the head, because I'm so tall.
You're just sort of nudging downwards,
Yeah.
conking him on the
His
tricorn.
tricorn goes slightly askew.
Still. Here we are. And you can see they've moved over towards the main sort of sort of like keep part of the Star Fort, which is built into the sides. There is you can see where the masonry has been just wrecked. Part of the roof has been covered over by scavenged wood, just nailed together to provide a temporary roof. But you're escorted in and pressed through a crowd of people. In here, you can see many people are more sedate than outside. There are a few large hallways. Well, not a few large hallways, but larger rooms where people, and in 3 of them, many people are laid out in beds, covered in blankets, stained with blood. You can see there are a couple of people running around trying to provide medical care.
Do you have any clerics here?
Clerics would be lucky. We are doing what we can, rationing healing potions. As far as I'm aware, the only clerics in the city are trapped in the cathedral with the bishop doing their best over there. If we could get them over here, well, that would be a great deal of help. But they are. It is hard to, as I understand, they have the cathedral protecting them, but they don't have the soldiers to fight their way out.
Yeah, they just have a place that the undead can't get to.
Yeah.
They're having, it seems from what we've heard from the odd survivor making their way across, they're having food problems there. It's harder to send people out to scavenge food.
Bugger.
If the bastards outside would just let us leave, but he shakes his head. You'll want to speak to Apple Blossom about that.
Yeah.
And they lead you through into what appears to be the old war room. There is a large sort of table set out, and you can see a map of the city has been sprawled out over it, and there are various people gathered around. And there is a sort of kind of very active, very focused air as you make your way in. Almost a kind of just a little bit of optimism to it. And compared to some of the drabber feelings around, you can see people are much more focused. They seem to be marking out different points on the map with coloured stones and the like, trying to get a sense of things. And you can see at the head of them, there is standing on a literal soapbox, so you can reach the table and look over it. There is the familiar form of Alton Appleblossom. He looks not dissimilar from when you last saw him. He is still wearing the same coat, although you see it has been... it's a heavy, sort of hard-wearing coat. It has been repaired multiple times now.
I think it's more patch than coat.
Yeah, there are several new patches to it, including a very wide one across part of the chest. You can see he seems to have changed his shirt. He has a bandolier across his chest with several grenades on it. In a pair of holsters at his chest, there are 2 sawn-off blunderbusses. He has a carbine across his back and a very Corzin-like arrangement, actually. And you notice he had, as well as the scars he previously has on his bare forearms, he has a couple of deep sort of white marks, about 5 of them, just below his hairline on his scalp.
Like claws.
More like maybe claws, maybe teeth. It's hard to tell where they've just left some sort of scarring there.
Ow.
But seeing you enter, as they're making their way through, he glances up, almost looking a little harassed, but then, upon seeing you... Wait a minute! By the Regent's hairy bullocks! Corzin! Celestia! Scamp!
Hello.
Old Scamp bastard, come here.
People I don't know, but hello!
This is Leah, this is Clara.
Hello! Oh, hello! Hi.
You're alive.
You're alive?
You're still alive.
Again.
I mean, no thanks to those bleeding chul. He kind of rubs at his forehead a little self-consciously.
Yeah, we heard.
Bleed, no. Sorry, these are some of my old shipmates.
That's
Well,
Hello.
I
very
take it
nice
that
to
your
see
new
you.
ship didn't fare too well.
didn't so much as get out of the harbour, really. I mean, it tried, but I wasn't there to get on it.
Yeah.
Can't
A lot of
honestly blame
people
him.
made their way out as soon as they could.
Don't think many did make it out.
Kind of does the sign of the regent, touching chest, lips, forehead, guy.
I awkwardly swing my arms about and just settle with them behind my back.
A few others in the room kind of lowered their heads. Sorry, everybody, meet my old crew, meet everybody.
Hello.
These are the folk that are trying to keep everything going. So you've already met Jack, my second in command for the most part here. And he gestures to a human woman. This is Victoria. Thumbs to the blonde human woman to his left. She's dealing with a lot of the supplies around here, and this here is Samuel. And gestures down to a male halfling beside him with a deep, sort of heavy-set black brow, sort of black furrowed brow. He has quite tanned skin. Not quite a unibrow, but he just seems to be one of those people who's been born with a permanent scowl.
Like, not a unibrow, but it looks like one.
Yeah, it
because
looks
always
like one because
frowning.
it's really
'cause the
furrowed.
shadow
One of
it
those
casts.
people. Yeah.
He's who's actually the only person you've really seen still wearing an army uniform, and it's
Oh.
officer's stripes, and it's
Interesting.
quite battered and scratched. And he gives a half salute upon your arrival. Wait there.
Hello.
Hello.
Victoria kind of gives a wave. Hello. Good to see another few survivors. Apple Blossom, do you mind if I carry on talking with Samuel? We need to talk about the disposition of... Oh, yes, do that. I'm just going to talk over here, if that's right.
This man talks in noises.
Yes.
Kind of Apple Blossom hustles over while the other two and their aides begin discussing the map.
Is that a slightly more obscure dialect of Halfling?
Yeah, basically.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
Corzin understands perfectly.
Don't mind Samuel. It's actually been quite reasonable, being as he was fighting for the other side in that. But now that he's here, he's honestly one of the best drill masters I could have hoped for.
The
I
need
mean, if we
for...
were still taking sides at this point,
Yeah.
Well,
for
exactly.
fuck's sake, you've got to get over yourself at some point, haven't you?
Jack, do you want to help them sort that sort of business out? He kind of gestures with the little pointer he was using to point at the map, and it just flies off behind him. Oh, damn it!
Jason definitely didn't just do that in real life with his pencil stowaways. That definitely didn't just happen. It was great, by the way. It just flew off over the room.
Anyway, Jack, do you want to deal with that? Of course. The other guards give you a bit of space. Keep an eye on you. Jack moves over to talk to the others. So, you been hiding out in the city, or?
Well,
can we trust you? Are you going to tell people things?
Ooh. All right. If it's a bit like that, just give it a bit of space, lads and lasses. We're just going to go into this corner here. Pulls you into a corner.
That is not in the slightest bit suspicious.
Well, there's not exactly a lot of privacy around these parts, so
true.
Kind of got to go with what we want.
How many people do you actually have in this fortress here, Alton?
According to Victoria's last count, oh boy, we're at 5,320.
Fucking hell.
But that's not just in the fort. We got people who are holed up in some of the houses nearby that are taking shelter, doing a lot of the supply runs and so on.
Shit.
By the sounds of things, you've got a fair number of the total survivors of the city.
Victoria's best guess is we're around about half of us, the living folk, still in the city.
The Wolverine, didn't he say he had about 3,000?
That makes sense based on what we know of. Based on what we know here, in the we reckon there's maybe 1.5 with the bishops. You've spoken to the old glutton then?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
Had a chat. Didn't go well.
Spoke, yes, amongst
Not a
other
fan.
things, but
not surprising.
no.
I suppose at least he's keeping some people safe, but
yeah.
and then there's the about a few hundred of them who've gone over to those revelers on the docks.
The horns.
The horns, that's what they're calling themselves, eh?
Yeah, we haven't run into them yet, but they sound
Awful.
Yeah, that.
They're not gonna lie, they're about as mad as a sack of hammers.
Is that a halfling expression?
I have no idea how mad that is.
Yes, it is.
A hammer's
Is that very
particularly
mad or
Have you ever tried to walk with a sack of hammers?
No!
Exactly.
I didn't think a sack of hammers had a particular mood, but I like it a lot, and I'm going to start saying it.
If you were a sack of hammers and all you could do was hit things, you'd be pretty mad too.
Quite so.
What the fuck are half your sayings? That's not even racist. Your sayings are just weird.
A halfling would understand. Anyway.
I'm sure they would. Corzin, do you understand? Right,
Yes.
well that's that settled
I think
then.
another popular one is mad as a box of frogs.
But that one
Now
I understand,
that's I understand.
they're moving
'Cause they're
about.
frogs.
They're making
You know,
noises, they're sad that they're in
3
a box.
stitches short of the milliner.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make... No.
12 limbs too many for an
Or
octopus.
there's a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic. Look, we're getting
getting off topic.
Mind you, if we started doing drow sayings, you'd kick me out. So, let's just stop there.
Probably best if we don't.
Yeah. So...
Okay.
I don't really know where to start here, gang.
No. We've had a
All right.
complicated time.
Yeah.
Sounds like it if you've been to the glutton and got back here.
Okay, just out of character clarification quickly. Would the Hesperidia be visible from the harbour?
Visible, yes. They are within, they're within horizon sight.
Yeah. And also, out of character
Right,
clarification,
okay, so-
if we want to tow the Hesperidia, we have to get rid of the Sauhagin, because otherwise Briggs isn't going to bring it in, because we'll be boarded and everyone will die, yeah?
Yeah.
That's an out of character clarification, not something that I've just said in front of
Yeah, because
It'd be a
you
fighting
previously
battle,
discussed this.
Also, we can take 500, am I right on that?
You can take 500 in the
In
well,
the
you can
tow
take
ship.
500 in this ship. You might be able conceivably to squeeze maybe an extra 100 onto the Hesperidia.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's not operating at full crew.
Also, just allowing for people just sitting in the hold.
Yeah. All right.
That's not...
Well, Alton, you seem to have been remarkably well entrenched here, given everything that's happened.
you're remarkably alive.
Since we're talking privately, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing.
Oh, the feeling's mutual. Would you like a drink? I've got
Yeah.
whiskey. Do you want some?
Can't really be seen drinking in front of the men.
Fair enough.
Just
Wow. Wow,
Ultimately,
you've
though,
grown up.
You have grown up. Fucking hell.
don't get me wrong. I really need a drink, and I'd slip one or two when no one's looking. But seriously, like, there's no one else that can do this. And soon as I can, the problem is, Victoria doesn't really know how to organise anyone who to fight, and 2/3 of the camp probably want to lynch Samuel. And Jack's one of those 2/3, so there's not really a lot of options here.
No.
Oh, so you're having to play politics out of the time.
I think I might be the person everyone dislikes the least.
I mean, you appear to be doing pretty well at that. Everyone was saying nice things about you when we came from the beach.
Have you ever spun plates?
Have I done that? That
Roll a
feels like,
d20.
That genuinely feels like something I might have done in
Roll a
this
d20.
character, like hilariously. Or
I don't think
no,
Corzin would have
maybe
done, but you
not.
might have seen
You've seen someone do it since actually it could have been done down south.
I've seen it in a play.
Like, right, I tried that once as a kid, and I got my ears nearly pulled off my head by my mum because I broke 3 of her best plates. This reminds me a lot of doing that.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, if it helps, you seem to be doing remarkably well, considering you've got no fucking idea what you're doing.
Anyway, you seem to have come here with some sort of proposition or something from the way you're talking.
I mean, it just doesn't seem very good now that I'm thinking about it.
It's just not enough people.
It's
I
really
mean, there are
not.
too many people. We can't help enough people.
I'll level with you, Alton. The situation is we have the potential, if we can get rid of the Sauhagin, to get 5, maybe 600 people out. But
How do you mean?
there's obviously an awful lot more people than that here. And by out, I mean on a ship and away from here.
You've got a ship.
We have... Okay, here's the situation. You can't tell anybody because this is crazy, and if the word gets out, we'll be fucked, right?
Oh yeah. I can see
Basically,
that.
there is a broken ship. Well, not broken, a sort of half-finished ship. It doesn't have any sails. Half-finished ship in those...
I heard about that. The one up
Yeah.
in the docks.
Yeah, nobody has any means
Yes.
to fix it, obviously, but it's there. And we came from a working ship. So, theoretically, if we had a favourable wind, we could tow it.
I can make a favourable wind.
Yeah,
I think. I think I've never done it, but I think I can do it.
I trust you. You can do anything.
Oh, well, that's terrifying. Don't say that.
Everything you've thought you could do before you could do, is my point.
Okay.
But also, our captain our captain definitely wouldn't bring the ship in unless we could clear the Bay of Sauhagin in the first place.
Right,
So there's a
'cause
lot of
those
maybes.
bastards like to
and
climb up
you-
the side of ships.
Yeah, there's a lot of maybes, and you know, you have 5,000 people, and we can only save 500.
I mean, I think I know
It's about
why
what the crew of the-
you would be reticent to, but have you considered doing multiple trips?
If we can clear the Sauhagin, that could work.
It
But
could.
if whatever we do to get rid of them is a temporary measure, that's not going to do any good.
No, that makes sense.
Also, we'd have to see if what our captain was up for, because
I
that
mean-
is risky for a ship. It's not our ship. is
No,
the thing.
I see that. I mean, I guess here's the problem, the way I see it. You could probably... Thinking, like, you know, if I was your captain, let's say you got rid of the Sawagin, and you could get in with the ship and get people onto it. It's already docked up in dry dock. Tie it up to your existing ship, tow it out. You'd only need to go about half a mile up, you know, just north up the coast, and you could get people off it.
Just
and then
out
come
of Kyle.
back.
Get them out of the walls.
The problem is, that's going to create a lot of attention. You'd probably be fine doing it the first time, but every time you came back, you'd be getting more and more of the dead who'd be wanting to try and get on board themselves, at least while there's any of the smart ones left controlling them.
Yeah.
How many smart ones are there?
I mean, I don't know how many there are of the of those whites. Less than 100, maybe. I'm not sure.
That's so many.
I will point out that I believe you have received intelligence on this previously, but it's up to you whether you can remember that.
I think we did, actually, because it was what Eagle told us.
I mean, Clara might remember that.
Clara will remember it.
Okay, Clara does remember it, so I will have it.
My notes will
Clara-
remember it if I can make them
That's
make
fine.
sense.
Clara says, there's around 40. Bloody hell, how do you know that? It's a little complex. We spoke to one just before it expired. Well,
Permanently.
About
And as for
39
the
now, I
ghouls,
guess.
There's, yeah.
oh, well, the ghouls we know, there's about 30 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw
28
them.
now.
There was a lot.
They mostly leap around the tops of the city unless they're swimming across. That's the only time they don't. They usually go to the bridge, pop off.
Oh, they can swim that well, can they?
Only if they get to the river. Can't go across the bay.
In-
But there is a point where if they go, because it's only really the bridge, the middle of the bridge that's destroyed. So they get onto one part of the bridge, jump off, get to the arch support, and then climb up that. But they survive.
Right.
They swim about as well as anyone, really. Not well enough, I think, to get into the sea and try and get out that way. They probably, and besides, the Sawagin might try and kill them, and more power to
I
him.
did wonder why the Saurgan hadn't gone after them. They're scavengers, so there's no end of things that they could be here for, but if we can
Honestly,
find and neutralise...
500 might be enough to start with, because between you and me, there's some of the folk here will gladly take the opportunity for a ship out. But some of them, well, they lived here, they grew up here, and especially the halflings, we can be right stubborn bastards when we want to be. And they're hoping...
Hadn't
wanna make their
noticed.
stand.
No, me neither.
Well, they're holding out in the hopes that maybe, eventually, the military will show up, the rest of it.
The military have already shown up.
The military already have showed up.
Oh,
They're just
I
waiting
know,
for everyone
I know
to die.
them. That's not what we mean. Since you're sharing secrets with me, I'm going to share one with you.
You can trust us, don't worry.
I've slipped a few messages to and forth, talking with the commander on their side. They've got one brigade there, not enough to cleanse to come in and start killing the undead. That's the reason they haven't made their way into the city. Seems like with the war going on, they can't really. Nobody's been able to spare the forces to come and properly take everything out. I should warn you, they're not from the assembly.
No, I didn't think they were.
No.
I think they're from the royalist side, as it were. But at least there's someone. I mean, I'm not happy about them not letting us out, but they are stopping the dead crawling out. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of folk in here that are not that charitable towards them, but I wouldn't want to see hordes of the dead making
Well,
their
you
way
can
out.
end a continent with that.
Yeah.
Boy.
I mean, it's not
Slowly,
like...
but-
I mean, It's not like it's a shadow or anything out of those terrible fairy tales.
It would be slower,
but it would be a problem.
Be a really big problem.
I mean, you'd be adding
Corzin's eye twitches.
You'd be functionally adding a third army to this whole conflict, assuming they stuck together, which they wouldn't. They'd split out, and it'd be worse than the bandits.
Yeah, it'd be a mess.
Yeah.
Especially with whites.
In any case, that being the problem as it is, no, a lot of people would want to stay and hold out in the hopes that we can get things through. The fact is, I don't have a solution to getting rid of the whites or getting rid of the ghouls or anything like that. If there was one, that'd be great, but I'm just handling everything here best I can.
There's too many.
What I can tell you, though, is someone at least seems to have a plan, or at least more information about the Sawagin.
Okay.
Right.
Seems like the soldiers down at they're outside the walls. They have some experience dealing with them. They haven't been able to head in and deal with them because they're stretched thin, just keeping the blockade up. But they seem to know a few things. There's a way out of the city. It's too small for a lot of people to use. You could you could just get one person at a time through crawling. Now, I want you to keep this a secret, and there's reasons why we're not using that to get out. I sent a messenger through a few times, and they've come back, but that's the most. First of all, if we all upped and moved, we'd attract a lot of attention from the dead. And we'd be stuck there fighting in a very difficult position, trying to smuggle people through. And if we tried to widen the gap...
everything else would get out.
Exactly. I'm worried the folks at the military base encampment there would feel obliged to try and close it back up.
Or just start shooting.
The other problem is, it's in the streets held by the Horns.
Ah.
Right.
Are they particularly violent? I know that's a strange question, but I thought they were just sort of high.
They are, and they can get violent if you provoke them, but they get provoked kind of easily.
Okay.
I'd say
We've
that
fought
they're
people who are high before. Being high does not make you compliant.
they're not. I would say that they're unpredictable, first and foremost. They seem to do whatever they feel like, because I guess they've just given up on all reason. But there's something else you should know. During the middle of the day, when the sun's hottest and highest, we think that's where the ghouls are going to roost.
Okay.
The ghouls roost?
Right.
Sleep, rest. Seems they do
Right.
need some degree of sleep or rest, or maybe they just don't want to be out in the really bright sun.
I say to Celestia, you remember where we first tracked Smith to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems they like to keep secret in some way, but whatever seems to be happening, the Horns aren't being preyed on by them. So,
How many of the Horns are
a few
there?
hundred. 4 or 5 tops, probably.
Maybe there's
Right.
some sort of connection.
Most of them are just, well, looting whatever they can get and drinking and eating and
But
smoking.
That's kind of what ghouls are like, isn't it?
But
There's that weird, giggly, yay, eating things kind of energy. I wonder if there's
Yeah.
some sort of connection going on. Could it be magic? Could they just like each other because
don't
they're
know.
both sort of doing the same thing?
maybe there seems to be some sort of truce or arrangement or something that keeps them safe. And most of the dead don't go near them either. they've still got some guards and so on, but whatever they're up to, they seem to be doing fine, which is really annoying. So there's that breach that showed up in the walls. Someone, I think, set off some explosives there.
Yes, that was what it was.
Yeah.
Well, that got bricked back up for the most part with rubble by the soldiers to keep the dead in. But there's a crawl space, if you know where to look. We've marked it. There's look around for a couple of X's in chalk. That's where you'll find it.
Right.
You can get through one at a time through there. You'll need to crawl through. It'll be possibly a bit harder for you, Celestia.
But I could get through, would you say?
Bit of a squeeze. The fellow I've been sending through is a halfling.
Right.
But
it's okay.
but you might be able to
Done that
wriggle
before.
through. Otherwise, if you get through, tell him I sent you. That's important. And there's a password which we've set up between us.
What's the password?
Captain Brandy.
Oh.
Of course.
You too, huh?
He smiles a little or sadly and nods.
On that note, Alton, if we are able to get people out, would you be one of the ones who was willing to accompany us, or do you want to...
The moment I leave, I'm pretty sure this whole place just falls into just some sort of civil war. I don't know what. I can't leave. I wish I could, but I really can't.
Fair
enough.
I thought I'd offer you.
I think I've just got to stack this out until we can start putting things back in order.
At least there's enough of Tryon to actually be put back in order at some point in the future.
I don't understand the dead. That's more like the cleric's business, and we can't get to them. So, anyway, that's what I can tell you there. If you need to rest up, we can probably spare you a bit of food, a bit of drinking water.
We've got
There's a
rations, don't worry.
Glad to hear it.
You don't need to spend your food on us.
Leah speaks up. Given you'll be going through quite difficult areas, and looking at the situation here, Alton, if you don't mind me calling you that? No, that's not a problem. Leah, right? Yes. I know I've been training up as a, surgeon's assistant. Sort of been doing a bit more full-time, training a bit under Corzin here. He looks a little askew at that. You sure? Because Corzin is known to have slightly variable luck when it comes to some of the surgery work. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be alive without him, but... She rolls her eyes. Could you use an extra pair of hands with the... I noticed there's some people who you need. Oh, definitely.
Likewise.
Clara also speaks up.
No, you're coming with us, darling, I said, Corzin.
I know a thing or two as well. I might be able to do a few things here. I think might be best if I just... work on helping here and let the three of you get on your way.
Yeah, we'll be back, though.
Oh, I know.
All right.
We have places to be.
Yeah, we have so many places to be.
The sort of twitches a little. Let's not think about that.
Yeah, I just thought about it for a second, and I felt a bit sick, so let's stop. Are you going to be all right?
I mean, let's be blunt here. I don't think she's going to turn up and snatch me away. Feels like if Clara's here, then she's off doing something somewhere else.
Yeah, probably.
So...
Yeah.
And hell, you can be useful here.
Yes, I think I need to be.
Yeah.
Not that you're not useful with us.
No, that's
That is
not how I
what she was
meant
implying.
it. I
She-
meant you'll be doing something good. You won't. Oh.
She taps the hilt of her small sword. Not that I can't handle myself.
Oh,
with
what? You've
that,
been
but
brilliant.
I think I can maybe do more good here.
Yeah. Stay safe, huh?
Well, I, for one, would certainly welcome the assistance.
I really didn't mean you weren't useful with us. That's not what I meant to imply.
It's fine. I
Okay,
get it.
Good. Sorry, it's been a really long day.
Clara rolls her eyes, rolls up her sleeves, and says, I'm going to find out what needs to be doing. Excuse
luck.
me. She strides off with her little bag of things in tow.
Bye.
Right, shall we just get over there now?
No time at the present, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right. I'll tell the... I'll make sure the guards at the front know to let you out and to let you back in.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Thanks. You too.
Nice to see you alive.
Nice to be alive, and good to see you too. Come here.
Do your best to stay that
And
way.
gives you all sort of grabs your arm, gives you a one-armed hug each.
Yep.
Come here.
Okay.
There you go. And you as well, Tolan.
Nah, come here.
All right.
Lean really far down to give him a hug.
As for you, come over here. I'll show you what he's doing. Thanks.
See you later. Stay safe.
Will do. You too.
Right.
And you're left alone in the planning room.
Alright, shall we fuck off and talk to these army people then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Also, we really should check in with Briggs at some point and run this plan past him.
Can you
Because I don't think we have
send to
yet.
him?
I can send to him, yeah. Shall I do that now?
Yes, but
Yeah.
I mean, what are we gonna say? We've got a plan, but no way to make it work.
I think he needs to have said yes, though. That's the thing. Like, there's no point going and killing all the Sawagin if he's not even willing to do it in the first place.
I mean, yeah, there is, because then the Sawagin are gone.
Yes, my point exactly.
Yeah, but we need to know what we're capable of, don't we?
True.
I think it might be worth spending the spell to just let him know what he's in for.
I just think he's more likely to say yes if we have some sort of idea of the how.
Fair.
Well, we do have some sort of idea of the how. We've got to.
We don't really. We're going to go and
get
talk to a general and be like, how do we do this? Basically.
And hope he says, oh, it's really simple. All you have to do is clap your hands and wish.
That would be so lovely, wouldn't it?
Maybe one day.
You know, I wouldn't put it
mean-
past
Level 9
you.
spells.
So give it 9 levels.
Level 9 spells.
The Sawagin have got to be based somewhere or operating from somewhere.
Yeah.
Do they?
If we can
Do they-
find where that is, we can. Well, think about Slavitska's Isle. They were.
They had a base,
operating.
didn't they?
I mean, there's...
Yeah, they were operating out of a certain area. If we can route them there, they'll scatter.
Yeah. I mean, I assume that's what this general knows. So I think you're right, Scamp. I think let's go and talk to him first and then talk to Briggs when we maybe have some idea of what we're doing. I think you have a point.
What time of day is it currently?
It is around 9 in the morning.
Okay.
Ugh.
We've been up since 2.
Give it another hour, and I might I might ask you to see if you can send to Molly.
Yeah, sure.
So, you make your way out of the keep and head out. The chateau itself actually is only part of the island. There are actually a number of houses that were just built onto the island around the chateau. It's actually quite a built-up area. And you can see this is where the majority of the 5,000 people are crammed into. So there are extensive buildings around. And again, there's a sort of military, not exactly military precision, but at least rough pseudo-military organisation of people, gathering and carting resources. You make your way up towards the main gate, however, which oversees the one bridge leading on towards the main area. And you can see, looking across the bridge now, why they've acquired the name the Wagoners. A large number of just carts and wagons have been piled up at the far end of the bridge as what is at the near end of the bridge and the far end of the bridge as what is essentially just cover, just a barricade to give them firing positions. One ahead that they can fire at things approaching, and one behind that they can retreat to and protect, if need be, with the cannons that are overlooking the bridge itself. You can see where a number of chips and holes in the surface of the bridge speak of grape shot that has been used to clear them at some point in the last month. And the wagons seem to have been replaced or reboarded together on a number of occasions. You are, however, waved past, and as you see, Jacques runs up, communicates some messages, and you make your way across and over to the far barricade. There's a ladder that goes up it, although you have to sort of clamber your way down the far side. And just like that, you slip over to the far, down onto the ground, and you find yourself back on the dock side of Kion. Yes, Kion.
Yes, Kion.
Yeah, nearly thought I'd said the wrong name. Kion. It is eerily quiet. You can see down the road the same... You can actually see one of the two taverns you went to when you were first here. It is completely ransacked. The windows have been broken in. There are many bullet holes in the side of the thing, of it. Yeah, and the whole of the front just is war-torn and wrecked.
Is that the Whaler's Surprise?
Yeah, the Whaler's Surprise. I keep remembering. It is quiet here, but you can see, as I said before, there are smoke plumes over towards the city hall and the southern wall near to where the breach is. There seem to be, at this time, none of the shambling hordes nearby.
That's something, at least.
I mean, he said the ghouls are there when the sun's highest. We're at 9 a.m. So they're probably
we've got maybe 3
they're
hours.
probably still wandering about howling. It's just the horns to worry about, and frankly, for people who are pissed and high all the time, 9 a.m. is not a terrible time to be walking past because they might all still be in a stupor from the night before, potentially.
Agreed.
Although...
Also, if it is a place where the ghouls are nesting for the night, then I mean, if we had the ability to do this, then I'd shove as much gunpowder as I could find into the place and wait.
Not a terrible idea, but how on earth would we know where? The horns aren't going to tell us, darling.
Well, if we can get
it's
one
possible.
On their own, they might.
Also, think back to where Smith was hiding out in the town there. It was a dilapidated, hastily augmented place. It was a rope factory, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But he'd
the
not
thing
been
is,
there long.
Also, I don't feel like they're our biggest problem. If we've got to be spending spells, we need to be doing it for Sawagin. There are only 30 ghouls. There are hundreds of undead. There are hundreds of Sawagin. There are people we need to get out. It would be good, but if we only have so much time to be helping people, it's maybe not the best use of it.
But if the whites were gone, if the ghouls were gone, That's a lot
and
simpler.
you've just got a load of completely unorganised zombies.
And then you can get people out safely.
True, but also, if the whites are gone, like, more will spring up, won't they?
Only if people keep dying. Zombies aren't becoming whites.
How are we going to kill 40
true.
whites?
One at a
Well,
time.
they're not all in the same place, are they? Yeah.
Well, exactly. Like, how would we even find them?
There are a lot of people in this town, and they're going to just keep dying unless we do something.
Whites are going to show their hand by the fact that they're intelligent.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm being crazy here, but I don't know if it's escaped your notice that we have 5 people? 5 people, and we're talking about killing 30 ghouls, 40 whites, and fuck knows how many Sawagin, and, you know, stopping the end of the world happening, and I'm just freaking out a bit.
To be honest, I think maybe thinking about this is a lot simpler than thinking about saving the world. Or
This is
stopping a
not
Kraken.
simple. This is a lot.
In
5
comparison.
people.
Well, look, this is immediate. The saving the world thing is, as you've said before, a long-term goal. Very long-term
I am
goal, so it
freaking
would seem.
freaking out about that on some level, but I stand by the fact that I'm also freaking out about this.
not just
How
5
would we track
people.
down 40 whites with 5 of us?
Over a long period of time.
There's only so long
Well,
Briggs
not a
will
lot.
wait, darling.
Then let him go. There
Well,
are
if we can at
thousands
least-
of people here.
If we can at least get them away from an area where they're going to potentially do any fleeing refugees harm, that would be good enough for now.
You're talking about things that just sound impossible to me. Also, there's only so much time we have. We have time limits.
Yeah.
Clara. We only have Clara for like a month.
I just don't think I can leave them again. We ran away once. And we've been living with that. Because it looked impossible.
Yeah, this looks impossible.
No, it looks really, really hard. And very, very risky, but it doesn't look impossible.
We could spend the next 6 months trying to clear this city up, and we might even succeed. But for right here and right now, we've got to look at what's going to do the most benefit to the most people in the shortest amount of time.
Exactly, we can get 500 people out. That is doable. Maybe that's not even doable, you know?
That's what we're aiming for at the moment.
Also, just because we kill 40 whites, it doesn't mean the army are moving.
No.
There's still going to be people stuck in here with hundreds of fucking undead eating people. I
Well,
love
thankfully-
you, Scamp, and I love how you are about things, but we can't fix everything.
Let's talk to the general, see what he's got.
Yeah.
Just because you can't fix everything doesn't mean you've fixed nothing.
No, and I'm not saying
It doesn't
that.
make
I'm
the
just
stuff
saying
that
I don't
you,
think we can save the whole city. I don't think we can
any
do it
less
with 5 of
significant.
us. I know we're bloody powerful by the standards of a lot of people, but fuck.
I know, you're right, but...
Also, I'm really fucking scared about all the hag curses that are gonna happen if we're not out of here in time. We don't have, months to spend here looking for 40 whites that might not even save the city if we kill them.
We can get out quickly whenever we need.
Reasonably, assuming that there's still a ship there.
But we can
Well, I
guaranteed,
can't
if we
fly
can get
and
rid
we
of
don't
Sawagin, we
know.
can guaranteed get 500 people out. If we get rid of 40 whites, there's no guarantee that will actually help a lot.
Okay. Let's go talk to this guy.
Yeah, we'll talk about this again later, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, as you turn to make your way onwards, you see there is, making your way on the road that will take you directly towards the city hall and the place where the breach is. You can see there is a figure just standing in the middle of the road. You didn't see him up to this point. He is silent. It is an orc, about 6'2", dull, sort of dark greyish skin. He is wearing the most peculiar clothing. He has a beret on, a black beret, and black trousers and boots, and a striped black and white top, and painted
a string of onions.
And painted on his dark grey face is a big white smiley face around his mouth and eyes. As you see him, he does a little dramatic bow with a flourish.
Am I hallucinating?
No, that's definitely an orc.
Right, thought it might be a side effect of the Eye of the Storm. Okay, good.
In face paint, or so it would seem.
Are we, like, near him? Like, how near him are we?
He's about 50 feet down the road. He just seems to be acknowledging you.
I give him a wave.
I'm going to cautiously approach him.
He, he doesn't really move, but as you get about 20 feet from him, he holds a hand up suddenly, and then another one, and pads his hands in front of him as if there's a wall that you can't see. Seems to find the edge of it, pushes it to one side, then steps forward and extends his hand with a flourish.
Can I
shake.
roll to see if I've seen a mime before? Because I feel
like
I
roll to see if you've seen a mime.
Play? Like, I might have...
Can Corzin?
Yeah, go on, roll a d20.
9, probably not.
Probably not.
No.
15.
You have seen a mime before, once. It wasn't very impressive. You suddenly know that they, like, you vaguely recall, like, once like a few years ago while stopping in Portasal's seeing one. That one was human though.
Oh, these are like I think I've seen one of these before. They're I can't remember the name for them. They're like what happens when mummers forget the words?
Corzin, you see that smuggle slipped into his hand appears to be a like a little rotten tomato, which if you shake his hand, you would get squeezed into yours.
I'm going to have started putting my hand out, but I'm going to see if I notice. Is that all right?
No, his sleight of hand was good. He rolled a natural 2 in his sleight of hand. It's low enough to hit your passive perception. So you see the trick tomato in the handshake.
I'm going to flick the tomato out of his hand and go, Celestia Stardust, nice to meet you, and shake his hand.
He shakes his hand, grins, and sort of puts one hand to his mouth and makes a silent sort of giggling motion as if he's been caught out at an amusing trick.
Aww.
He holds up...
You're a man of few words, aren't you?
Holds up a finger, gestures to something at the side of your ear, and pulls out a small silver coin, which he pops on your shoulder.
I want to do it back.
Roll a sleight of hand check.
He's going to be like so sinister, and I'm going to be like fucking about with him. I can tell that he's something terrible. Oh, that's really good sleight of hand, though. That is 25.
You slip your hand back, pull out the... we'll say the same silver coin as you kind of brush into your hand, pull it out.
I do like a fake gasp
and
hand it to him.
He takes it back, rolls it along the back of his knuckles, slips it somewhere, you don't know, and then bursts into, again, a completely silent, but does all the motions of a full belly laugh. It's like comically overdone.
I hate him. Could we go, please?
I just look at him and go, why?
How are you alive out here?
He gestures to crosses his hands in front of him so that one is pointing to either side of the white smile, and then moves them along, just uncrosses his hands so that it moves along the smile to the other side. and then begins doing a merry jig just down the street, away from you.
Do you think he wants us to follow?
Yes, and then he wants to kill us. He's definitely evil.
He does seem mental, doesn't he?
Well, from what I've seen as people like this before, they're usually more common around where other living people are. They're entertainers, but
maybe he's entertaining the horns. Maybe that's how he's staying alive. Maybe he thinks we're some.
He glances back and puts a hand to his ear dramatically, holding out the other hand into the air.
What do you want?
Extends one finger and then curls it in a beckoning motion and begins dancing again.
Where? Where to?
Just continues dancing down the street.
How far away from where we're headed is this?
He appears to be heading directly the direction that you are heading, directly towards the city hall.
Might as well follow him
We need
then.
to go this way anyway.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is how they've been feeding all the ghouls.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate this. How can we not do
He's
this?
definitely evil.
Well, look, be on your guard. I mean, not that you wouldn't be, but
Oh no, I'm just going to relax around the creepy man leading me to the ghouls.
Why is everything insane today?
if it's ghouls, I mean, they'd have had to have come across from the other side of the river.
But they live over here.
No, they live here. We were talking about this before.
Yeah, it's previously been mentioned that they can swim across the short point where the bridge is damaged.
No, I was just thinking of where we last encountered them, but fine, yeah.
Okay.
I'm really confused.
Hang on a minute. No, come on. He's alive. If it were ghouls, they'd have just eaten him, wouldn't
No,
they?
but he could be feeding us to
They're
the
working
horns.
with the horns.
He's probably one of the horns. I make a sign of the horns at him.
He glances back, claps his hands to his mouth in short surprise, and then does a double horns back.
Yep, there we go. Lovely. We've worked that out. Okay.
He also gestures up to a building where you can see someone has daubed in white paint an image of a pair of horns.
Oh, that's not a smile. That's a pair of horns he's drawn on his face.
Oh, that's even worse.
That's so much worse. Fuck.
so much worse.
That's terrible.
Oh.
Okay.
He's definitely leading us to the place where the horns live to feed us to the ghouls.
Yeah, all the horns. Maybe they ate people now. Who the fuck knows anymore what is happening? I'm just going to down a bit of whiskey. How do we not go to the horns? We could just try and slip away from him.
We could just kill him.
Okay, let's save the city, said you 5 minutes ago.
As you say
The
that,
creepy clown man appears.
he's about 50 feet down from you, but he stops, turns, gestures in front of him, holds out one hand, grips it into a fist, gestures in front of him as if he's outlining a shield, then grips another, gestures as if he's outlining a sword, and just holds these imaginary weapons ready.
I was joking. Sort of.
He then gestures his hands as if both of them have vanished again, bursts into the silent, full-bellied laugh.
I hate him.
Where do you want us to go?
He rolls his eyes and, still grinning, sort of stomps back up towards you with an exaggerated gait.
You're kind of terrifying. We need more information.
Are you going to feed us to some ghouls?
He puts one hand to his mouth, a sort of ooh expression, and then shakes his head and waves his finger, wags his finger at you, going.
Don't touch. I will slay you.
Check a mime. Is it possible to insight check?
You can insight a mime,
I
yeah.
want to insight check the mime too.
I so want to insight check this mime.
Also,
12.
kudos to Jason for making a
14.
mime work in the audio format.
Yeah, actually.
So 12, 14. Okay, this man is clearly insane. But also he does not appear to have ill intent against you, as far as you can tell. He seems to consider you friends or guests.
Alright. Corzin is going to just take his carbine off his shoulder and hold it ready as he proceeds.
The mime mimics like a stiff parade walk as if holding a rifle, not a rifle, a musket at his chest, and begins sort of just doing like those very stiff sort of marching steps by you as you walk onwards.
Are you taking us to our imminent death?
He looks shocked and shakes his head.
Can I put my hand through his mime gun and just check there's nothing, like, there's no magic here which is making my weapons real?
I did wonder.
It's D&D,
Because I love that as an idea, and I'm also horrified by the prospect of this guy doing it.
Okay, as you touch as you reach out to touch the weapon, make a wisdom check. Make a wisdom saving throw.
No.
6.
Yeah, no, it's entirely imaginary.
I hate you.
You are
so much.
literally the worst
So you
person.
put it through, and he reacts as if you've just snapped his rifle in half, and like holds up the two halves, looks crestfallen.
I take the halves from him and eat them.
He just looks at you in frank horror, like nibbling at his fingers, just like making an expression with his mouth.
I pretend that one of their horns is a trigger and pretend to like bang like I'm firing the gun.
He claps his hand to his chest and just falls to the ground.
What are we doing?
He's completely still.
Uh-oh, you've killed him. He's dead. He's dead. You've killed him.
I go, oh, well, I'd better do a healing spell to save him and make some magic-y gestures.
He sort of he actually springs from lying down straight to his feet.
We really need more information about where you're taking us, my darling, and I don't know how you can
He
tell us.
He does the gesture of the horns.
Are they nice?
Kind of shrugs but grins. Like, does like a gesture, sort of like a half and half gesture with his hands. It reminds you a lot of the ambivalent octopus.
What if we didn't want to meet the horns? What would you do then?
He shrugs and just mimes with his fingers, just walking off.
What do we do here?
I don't know. I mean,
like, out of character, I so want to follow this brain that, like, I can hardly even breathe. I so want to, just because I'm so entertained. But in character, it's like the worst idea in the world, and I don't know how to balance these two wants. So
if it's on the way to where we're going anyway.
it is where we're going, isn't it?
yeah, I think it is literally where we're going. We might as well keep with him for now, won't we?
Well, look, if it's where we're going anyway, then I don't know exactly how we might be able to do this, but we could possibly get some, at least vague information out of this guy. He doesn't seem to be particularly talkative, but...
Don't suppose no, I shouldn't ask him anything. I'm going to give him secrets. Let's not ask the person silly questions. Well, you never know. They might actually know something useful.
Well,
I mean, we don't want to blow off all your spells, but I wonder what's in his head.
Oh.
I mean, we shouldn't blow your spells.
Oh, I'm doing it and no one can stop me.
We shouldn't blow your spells.
I'm doing it.
Okay.
as you're doing this, Corzin will ask, so are you actually with the horns, or are you just a fan of theirs?
He kind of nods his head, and there's the little pink, purple line stretches out, connects to his mind,
to his temple.
just loosely because it's not a deep thought, and you just hear him go. You hear his mind go. Oh yeah, yeah, they're a lot of fun. He just nods along as you carry on walking. Oh, these people are going to be so entertaining. I like them. I think the rest of the gang will have a lot of fun seeing them. I wonder if they know any other tricks.
I turned to the other two. Okay, he's adorable. Like, there's no malice here that I can find.
Ask him about the ghouls.
Do you know anything about any ghouls, darling?
He kind of frowns and shrugs and sighs, and you hear in his head, "Oh, those guys, they're such noisy neighbours. But so long as we put some bodies upstairs for them when they come back, they don't bother us. Just anyone we find." And actually, weirdly, as he's thinking this, he sort of shrugs and then kind of plants two hands to his chest as if he's and rolls his eyes back, and then mimes just sort of picking something up and putting it like onto a high shelf.
Oh, they've been giving them any bodies they've come across, so they just leave each other alone.
He claps his fingers to his mouth and taps two fingers to his mind and goes, "Are you reading my thoughts?"
I wouldn't dare.
"Oh," in his mind he goes, "Oh, you saucy minx."
I'm a lot less threatened now. I can hear what he's thinking.
"Hi there."
Hi there.
"They call me Smiler."
Smiler. It's a lovely name. They call me Celestia Stardust.
"I know, you said so." He's just starts staring, just like put one hand on chin on his one hand on his chin and is leaning on an imaginary like sideboard, having this thought talk conversation with you.
So are the horns? Are they going to be scary and mean?
"I mean, so long as you don't interrupt the party, she'll be fine." He sort of waves one hand.
Ask him about the bodies. Are they alive when they leave them?
"Oh no," he shakes his head. He can hear you speaking, so he just thinks they are, so sort of shakes his head. "Oh no, there's dead bodies all over the place."
No, they get dead bodies from everywhere, apparently.
Makes sense.
Well... What else can we ask him? What else is useful?
I'm going to say you're running towards the end of your minute.
Yeah, I've got a few seconds left.
"Oh, can't keep this up, huh?"
No, it's quite taxing.
He kind of makes a gesture as if it's a dick that's half rising and then falling.
You fucker.
Can he actually speak, or is he just choosing not to?
I mean, not an important question, but I'm interested.
"Do not ask that question!"
Okay.
You hear suddenly very harshly in your mind.
Your business. Won't ask again. Sorry. None of our business. Don't suppose you know anything about the Soagin, do you?
"The what now?"
Fish
He's
people.
confused. "Oh, yeah. They keep stealing the bodies." He makes a sort of nom 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 motion with his teeth as if biting on a chicken leg, or maybe just a leg.
Right. Okay.
Makes sense.
And I'm going to say the connection breaks.
I'll be honest, I think that like the usefulness of that was maybe running out anyway. So
He gives another silent belly laugh and then gestures for you to follow him and begins striding off down the street.
well, it was exciting.
At least he doesn't appear to be openly trying to deceive us then.
I mean, from his thoughts, he's completely fucking harmless. Also, it sounds like if we don't interrupt the Horns partying, they won't really be that bothered.
Works for me. For the moment, anyway.
Okay.
I think we might as well follow this for now, see if there's anything useful we can gain from it.
All right, you make your way down the street, following through. You can see more and more of these daubed paintings of horns. Sometimes bull horns, sometimes goat horns, like just different sort of horn variations. And as you gesture onwards, you can hear this distant sort of mixture of pipe music, strings, just whatever comes together, floating from further down the street. And a distinctive, jubilant sort of air is coming from towards the city hall. And as you watch that, there's no barricades set up or anything. But as you get to the square in front of the city hall, it's all strung out with what look to be like old market stalls and so on, tents. It's almost like a whole sort of festival or bazaar has been set up. People have scavenged cushions, comfortable objects, just laid them about everywhere. It just seems to be one massive party. Some people are playing flutes or other wind instruments. Some people are banging drums. Someone's got a fiddle. And there are just humans and halflings laying around, many of them with elaborate body paint that they've drawn on themselves, some with sort of face paint similar to Smilers, and they seem to be... And a lot of them are just sort of blitzed out on cushions, barely conscious or unconscious, snoring loudly. Others are playing games. Some are just tucking into food, scavenged food and the like. But many of them are drinking from the large number of wine casks, or possibly just some sort of alcohol casks, that have been rolled up into the centre of the square and tapped. Crockery has been brought out. People are just drinking, eating, whatever they can get hold of. And yeah, it's weirdly there's a weird sort of festival air going on all around the city hall. Looking at you also, I'll say, Corzin, with your passive perception, you also notice that the upper windows, like the city hall is like a 4-story building, and the upper stone building, the upper windows have all been smashed in, so they're just open. However, the bottom you can see the main double doors have been opened up, and the party sort of continues on in there. And there are many, many more of these images of horns painted on everything. And as you arrive, someone steps out, a human woman, quite tall, just a shock of brilliant curly red hair that just flows out in every direction. She seems to be wearing an evening dress, despite it being the morning, down sort of with one shoulder bare. She has perpetually wide eyes as she steps out, like they're slightly dilated. And there's a sort of
big pupils.
Yeah, there's a bit of a sway as she walks, and she's holding what appears to be a staff of some sort of wood, topped with, of all things, a pine cone.
Okay.
And she sort of steps out. Oh, I smell it. It seems you have brought some new guests to the party. Hello! She throws up the horns. A few other people lazily throw up the horns as well.
I do it back, why not?
Yeah.
Hello.
And you! She gestures towards Scamp. You are especially blessed. Come, have a drink, have a smoke, have whatever you like. In this place, there are no inhibitions. Whatever your pleasures, indulge.
Do you have chocolate?
Marie! There's this kind of blitzed out person. Do you have any chocolate? Go look yourself, you bitch.
Wow.
Here! Oh, do you have any chocolate? I don't know. August! The chocolate is in the back. It's behind the raisins. Thank you. Come, I'll show you where the chocolate is.
What was your name, darling?
Oh, forgive me. I am sorry. My name is Saccharissa Deveron.
Fantastic name. Celestia Stardust, nice to meet you. I hold out a
She
hand.
passes the staff to the other hand, shakes yours, and then does a little sachet away. Come, we shall give you some chocolate, some sweets. Come into my house and have some sweets, young child.
Oh god, alarm bells are ringing.
Okay, question. Is anyone here visibly guarding the place?
So, looking around, it's not that anyone is visibly guarding, like standing guard. There are quite a few people who have weapons. Mm-hmm. They have blunderbusses or muskets. Some people just have like cavalry sabers that they appear to have looted from somewhere. But most of them are just beside them on the cushions, and they're engaging in whatever they seem to want. You can see there is one tent which you glance at and then immediately avert your eyes from, where no less than 5 people are engaging in whatever they want.
Ooh.
And not being quiet about it.
I put a hand over Scamp's eyes.
Please cover my ears too.
Yeah, I don't have enough hands to do all of that. Maybe you'll have to do your ears.
Says, some of these people are armed, but seriously, if half the undead in the city are as organised as they are, what with the whites and everything, I can't understand why they haven't been rushed.
I think I've got it.
Because the ghouls protect them.
Yeah, the ghouls live upstairs.
That's got to be the only thing. Yeah.
Everybody knows the ghouls are here, so nobody comes down.
The doors have been left open, and you hear Saccharissa call from inside, "Yoo-hoo! Come on and get your chocolate!"
So this is definitely a trap, but I think I should check just in case. And I go in the door.
Well, now we're all going in, aren't we? Fuck it.
You step inside, you can see that the various colourful fabrics have been laid up within, and Saccharissa sachets into a back room where there are just various supplies stacked up. She sort of leans over some barrels, ducks around, and comes up with what appears to be just like a small wrapped bit of very dark sort of powdered cocoa. You're going to need to mix this up yourself, but I think we have a kettle around here. Oh, you've got... The rule is, whatever pleasure you want, but you've got to get it yourself.
Seems a fair rule.
Sorry, I have been worshipping this morning, and I'm a little bit sway.
Worshipping?
Oh, yes, of course. Come, enjoy. I'll take you to the shrine. She just starts walking up some stairs a little unsteadily.
I'm incredibly curious. I want to know.
Is this a sex thing?
Only if you want it to be.
Right. I'm going to follow her. I need to know.
No, thank you.
She leads you up a pair of stairs into the first floor. It's kind of... you can see there is what was some sort of large council room. The tables have been pushed to the side or broken up and moved out. And around what used to be some sort of large painting of the city, there has been erected a crude shrine. Statues, not really of anything, just like of random people, have been brought in and shoved next to the wall. They have been painted. Crude horns have been stuck on their heads, just like sheep's horns from the butchers or something. There's been a large table, a sort of large stone block brought in to be an altar, and around it there are just platters of the freshest food they can find, bowls of wine and the like, and you can see depicted in crude but very vibrant paints is a laughing bearded man with goat horns, a cup of wine in one hand, and a bunch of grapes in the other.
Wow.
Oh.
Does that look anything like...
It looks exactly like. And she picks up the wine and goes, "To your health, Dionysus!" Knocks it back and then refills it from a nearby urn. Want a drink?
Fuck it, yeah. Dionysus! I take a sip.
And as she does so, you see her sort of... she picks up what seems to be a block of incense from somewhere, breaks a bit off, and there's a little brazier, and she tosses it into it and starts inhaling the very pungent scent. And as she does so, you see spirits begin filtering in from the walls, just simple ones like flickers of light, strange, like little essences of motion and sound begin swirling around it and coalescing around her for a moment. And now, let's have some light! She snaps her fingers, and as the spirits burst out and just it's very similar to when you cast Fairy Fire, but instead it's just bright, multicolored rainbow lights just fill the room.
The Rainbow Spirit is fucking loving this, by the way.
It's giggling and
It's
rolling
running
around.
about.
She
Yeah.
peers. Oh, of course. I can see this one goes well. I should have known you had some experience with the whiny one.
Yeah, loads.
Yeah, he's a friend.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Oh, well, as I say, welcome. Here we worship in the best way by doing whatever we want.
This is much more fun church than what I was brought up with.
So are you like a priestess?
I suppose I like to make sure the party keeps going. I suppose maybe I have some responsibilities. I make sure that we raise a cup to the big man. She winks at the painted image of Dionysus. And I make sure to take care of anyone who tries to stop the party. And of course, we keep the really hard party goers going and make sure they have their regular little, upstairs. So they don't interrupt the party either.
Right, I'm guessing they would do if they weren't.
they weren't
Oh,
dead.
but they
Compensated.
party the hardest. They really embody the ideas of our dear patron. Do what thou wilt.
I suppose they do.
Yeah.
She takes another sip of wine and silently salutes the image.
How do you keep finding drugs and stuff? I have questions.
We scour the place. We look around. There's quite a lot that was hidden here and there. We pull up wine from the old taverns and the like, and I have a sort of a nose for finding these sorts of things. It was you see, when everything went wrong, some of us were not so free before, and her eyes look a little distant. Some of us were trapped or in places or situations we could not escape. And in the midst of all of the chaos, I had a vision. Be free. Do what I will. Break free. In fact, it is this very cup that I used, and she rolls around. You can see there is a dent in the side of it. A swift blow to the back of the one who had caused me such misery for so long. And I was free! And I knew that I had to encourage all of us to be free as well. And since then, when I am dreaming, if we're running low, I will sometimes see where I can find a few extra kegs hidden away, maybe a pouch of the good stuff. I keep the party going. And so long as the party goes on, well, she throws up the horns, our patron is satisfied.
Then you get tired.
When I am tired, I sleep. I do what I will.
Well, that's one way to live.
She grins, and again, her eyes are kind of wild at all times. Ooh. So, what I assume you've come here, you've paid your respects. You can join the party in your way, for as long as you wish, and when you're done, carry on your way. All I ask is that you do not try to stop the party, or I will have to carry out my sacred duty.
I wouldn't dream of it, darling.
Good!
Yeah, that's not what we're here for.
No, not at all. We're just passing through.
Oh, and if you're at the party, don't go up to the top floor. Just
thanks for the tip.
Especially not during the middle of the day, or you become part of their party.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not do that.
But really, keep out between about 11 and 3.
Good to know. Thank you for the specific times.
Not that there's anyone ringing bells anymore.
Yeah, I suppose not. Hard to tell. Well.
Now, I am going to go smoke something and then join the activity tent. She gestures towards the very noisy tent. And I will see, and I see you around.
I imagine Scamp's head automatically turns. I just turn it back.
She sachets out of the shrine and downstairs, replacing the cup on the altar as she goes.
Well, on the plus side, it doesn't look like they're likely to be hindering us, so long as we don't hinder them and their revelry.
Yeah. I mean, the blowing up the ghouls plan suddenly has a bit of a different slant on it.
Yeah.
Because we'd also probably kill people.
Yeah.
It's hard to just blow up the roof of a building.
Well, also, if the ghouls are there, then it completely changes the balance of power.
Yeah. They wouldn't be able to keep doing what they're doing.
Alright, well, look, for the moment, I'm glad we didn't talk to her about our personal experience with her patron, but that could be a useful trump card if we
need
find
anything.
ourselves in a spot with these people.
Also, if I play my guitar here, everyone's going to shit themselves.
That's very true.
Yeah.
This is a lot.
This is honestly not what I was expecting.
No, me neither.
No, this is surprisingly chilled out.
I was expecting more sinister. I'm still waiting for, the sinister to appear.
I mean, I think if we got in their way, it would get sinister fairly quickly. But personally, I have no particular intention of doing that.
I think it'd probably get violent, but I'm not sure it'd be sinister, necessarily.
No, it'd just be, just be outright violent, wouldn't it, really?
I keep expecting something super creepy.
Thing is, though, when you get high, there's always a crash, isn't there? When's their crash?
Yeah.
When does that happen?
When they finally run out, because they will eventually.
Yeah.
They seem to be mitigating that.
They'll run out of whatever substances they're having fun with, or they'll run out of bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One or the other will happen with enough time.
Alright, well, in the more immediate future, they're not stopping us from doing
No, they're not a problem.
what we need to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if we did get our hands on a lot of explosives, we could take care of the ghouls pretty easily, as you said before, but also there are a lot of people in this building.
And if we start a fire, no one's going to put it out.
No.
That's very true.
There'd be a lot of people in stupors who would just die.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, well, for the moment then, shall we just try and keep out of the ghouls' way?
I think that might be best.
I mean, if we encounter them anywhere else, fair game. But here...
I know that it would be easy if we had explosives, but also there's no reason these people deserve to die more than anybody else does.
Oh no. Plus, we start a fire here, how far does it spread?
So far. It would cause a really big problem.
Also, if this is potentially a way of getting people out at some point, we can't blow it up. Like the area.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think we've kind of got to leave them to it on this one. Also, they aren't actually killing anyone, particularly. They're nicking bodies,
No.
but they're not...
If they were If they were actively killing people, it would be different.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
they don't seem to be.
As ways to cope with your entire city falling down go, it's not terrible.
I mean, they're not even not actively killing people. They're giving bodies which would otherwise become more undead.
Yeah, they're actually...
It's like a recycling thing.
Oh, bit grim, but yeah,
That's
kind
a
of.
grisly way of looking at it, but yeah.
No, but you have a point. They could be more undead, but they're not. They're just being eaten.
Although the same problem, like you say, applies to that. Eventually, there are going to be no more bodies.
Yeah.
The ghouls will have eaten them all at some point.
People will run out of living people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that point is what the army's waiting for.
Speaking of the army.
We should go.
Yeah, we should go.
Yeah.
You give one last glance at the shrine and the grinning, bearded, horned figure behind you.
Oh.
Not the actual figure, just the image.
Are you there? Dionysus? Die!
I'm going to do a little strum on my guitar.
The strum continues.
They're giving him a bit of a pot belly. He didn't have a pot belly, did he?
When he was little, he did.
Oh.
When he was big, no.
I suppose. Yeah.
You feel... I guess... Scamp, give me a wisdom check.
No. You mean a straight roll? That one's on the floor. 11. Where's that one gone? No. 11.
Something feels a little weird, not really sure what. Celestia and Corzin, you see a sort of pooling of just diffuse bluish purplishness around the wall, which loosely coalesces around the image but doesn't form into a solid body. It's just like something is more present.
Hello, Di.
You just hear a sort of gentle rumbling.
Is this... well, this is a shrine. Is he able to convene with people here?
I don't know.
Can you talk to people?
The pool of purple and blue swirls around and then settles into the wine in the cup and just seems to thrum around the liquid.
Oh, do we need to make a sacrifice?
I'm going
We'll
to drink
have
a bit
drink.
of the wine because I'm an idiot.
Oh no!
Pick up the wine and
Oh,
take,
I can't
take
not.
a sip.
I'm sorry.
Roll a Constitution save.
I'm going to be so pissed. Ooh, hun. Okay. That's a 6.
The moment you sit this bag, this is clearly isn't
Like a tiny bit. I don't drink a lot.
Yeah,
But...
even so, this isn't. There is wine in this, but you blink and everything is really bright colours. Everything's really vivid as you look over. To you and only to you, Celestia, it looks like the image of Dionysus on the wall is swaying slightly, and you see it grin a little bit. Well, hello.
Hello. How are you these days?
Little more spread out than when we last met, but keeping busy. I see you've been taking good care of my guitar there.
Your guitar has been everything. I love it so much.
By the way, for the rest of you, this is a one-sided conversation.
Oh
Okay.
no!
Can I do an insight check to see if it's obvious who she's talking to? Like,
Who
I
else
mean,
would
I
be
think it's
talking
pretty
to?
obvious. You don't need an insight check for that.
Yeah. Right. I think she's having a religious experience.
I wouldn't call him religious. You're not a religion, are you? Are you a religion? Are you a god? Or are you a spirit?
He leans forward in the image, and you see there's a little bit of danger in his eyes.
I lean forward too.
I am a god.
Right. What even is a god? Is a god just like a really big spirit? Because I'm starting to wonder these days.
Curious question. Well, take this knowledge with the warning that it comes from one who is deep in the well of madness. I am spirited. We are spirited, but we are wants and wills and urges, echoed forth and multiplied. We are will, shaped to form, that press our will again upon the world. We are made and makers, sculpted and sculptors. That is the nature of gods.
So there are lots of you?
Once there were more. But it seems they've, let us say, bent the knee. My knees are quite sore. He flexes one sadly and cricks it a little. Not given to bending. I was always one to be free.
Yeah, I got that.
Oh.
Where does the Regent fit into all of this?
Careful.
Oh, I don't believe in the Regent.
Stop. He shudders a little. I would prefer if you didn't draw that one's attention by speaking their name.
Oh, so there is one.
He seems to snarl a little.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not something I would get into with those not pledged to me in a more permanent capacity.
Fair enough.
And while those are secrets that would drive you pleasingly mad, I think it rather more serves my interests for you to keep your mind as is.
I've gone quite mad enough, thank you.
He stares. Corzin, you see around the painted image of Dionysus, where the blue and purple mist seems to be gathered, a long blue tendril of light extends and touches itself to Celestia's mind. Celestia, make a wisdom save.
Oh, shit.
As you feel...
Might be more
I say,
intelligent.
Celestia, are you alright?
That is a 12.
You feel something probe into your mind, and you can feel much like what happened with Snorra, but far more intense as something burrows into your thoughts before detaching and slipping away.
Oh, what did you do? Why? What did you want?
I wanted madness and knowledge, and you have found it. You are cursed with knowledge, mad with it. Oh, and truly, that is people indulging on what they would, but in a terrible way. That is something for me to know. To ponder upon.
What exactly do you mean?
You had knowledge which I did not. Now I do. I know now what you've seen to come. And I suppose I have some time.
Is there anything you can do about it?
I can change the world, but I am also restrained by my nature. I can make people or things more free, more given to their impulse. But I fear that impulse may cause what is to come. I see a strange world, brave, new, exciting, full of things that I have yet to dream. But until I am there, I do not know. I cannot see.
Do you know anyone else who could help? I want to stop it. Do you know anyone else who could help? You're a god. You said there were more.
He seems to muse.
If there's not a world, you can't be free.
I am aware, and I would stop it. I would not restrain you stopping it. But what I could think of would bind you further, and is dangerous. You have something of power.
The guitar?
No.
Oh, the eye. Right.
That may lead you the way you seek, but be warned. Tethering yourself to the future can tether yourself to a given path. Be free. Embrace the unexpected choice.
The unexpected choice.
Just a little general advice from me. But be warned. When you stare into an abyss, sometimes it stares back. And I dare not say more, lest I draw the attention of such. I am, these
something's
days...
looking back at me.
It could be. Potentially. Not always.
The Kraken?
He shrugs.
Or something bigger?
There are few things bigger now.
Fucking hell.
But I dare not say too much. I am these days a small god, and it takes time for us to grow to what we were. I will have my time in the sun again, but for now I must keep to these shattered places, keep to where people will party and revel away from the watchful eyes of authority. For I will live always in the hearts of those who would throw off the yoke of responsibility.
If I want to talk to you again, what do I do? Can I?
Seek out a place like this, where those that are faithful to me have made a place to honour me, and pay the appropriate homage. By the way, not at all sorry about the hangover.
You bastard.
As you blink, the image is still again. But everything is still kind of bright lights, and now you have a ringing headache starting to develop.
Ow.
Yeah, I think, because you failed that constitution save.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
gonna give
very
you a
much.
hangover.
I rolled a 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, you get a point of exhaustion.
Yeah, how does... Could you pass me the book so that I've got
that is disadvantage on ability checks.
Oh, shit. That's really bad.
Until
For
you
how
rest
long?
or have some coffee to suspend the effects of hangover for a time.
Okay, I've got coffee.
You can have some coffee, and it will suspend it until your next short rest.
Ow. Ow. Oh. Oh, that was...
Would lesser restoration help?
Lesser restoration doesn't remove exhaustion.
Fair. Okay.
Well, that'll be the fastest hangover I've ever had. Oof.
You know, a chap could get kind of insecure about all the people talking to other people he can't see.
Says the guy who can see invisible creatures everywhere.
What?
You can see all the little... I don't get to see the octopus or the rainbow or anything.
Well, fair, but generally they're not very talkative. They're about as talkative as that face-painted bloke back there.
The ambivalent octopus shrugs. Fair point.
Well, you know, turns out there are other gods.
Well, besides the Regent.
Obviously, darling. Come on, get with the program.
Well, I mean, having met one does tend to force your perspective open a little.
I mean, the Regent's fucking real. That was a curveball for me. Sorry.
Really? Where did you think the clerics were getting their power?
Spirits. I know you don't see them, but I kind of assumed. So, when I was in the Underdark, right, the gods, I put up like inverted commas fingers, were fucking massive spider spirits, basically, right? And I was told that those were the gods, accepted that for my whole life, was going to be a cleric, came up here, and, you know, we saw a fucking massive whale spirit, and we saw Dionysus, and I just sort of assumed that they were all really big fucking well-formed spirits, and everybody had just started calling them gods, and I thought the Regent was just bullshit said by the state, to be honest. But, you know, I've had an interesting religious upbringing, so my opinion doesn't necessarily mean much.
Well, I didn't have a religious upbringing at all.
I did hear, well, way back when, pre-Regency, that there were many gods that were worshipped all over the place, but at least as far as the Church of the Regent would have us believe, those were all kind of brought under the auspices of the Regent when they rose to prominence.
Thing is, though, he looked into my head and he saw all the future stuff. He said I was cursed with knowledge and had a good old laugh. But there are...
He's not wrong, to be fair to him,
yeah,
but,
true.
I mean, did he tell you anything actually useful?
I mean... He can't do a lot about it because he's not a big god. But he wanted to stop it.
At least then we have a potentially powerful ally.
Yes, and the thing is, if... Don't get me wrong, I never want to go near religion again in my entire life because I'm just sick to the fucking back teeth of it, but... If at some point we could maybe talk to some bigger gods, we might actually be able to get some stuff done.
I mean, he's not a big god now, but...
He said they grow. He said...
He wasn't even a god a while back, he was just traps.
Yeah, he said that he'll grow again to what he once was, but it'll take a long time.
Well, I mean, on a smaller scale...
How long?
And I'm sorry, Scamp, the spirits...
I don't know.
They've got more powerful since they've been with us, even. And that's only been, what, a couple of months?
Yeah, but maybe bigger gods and bigger spirits are... I don't know, still don't know what the difference actually is, but maybe those are...
Maybe there isn't.
Maybe
it's just scale.
That's what I thought, though. I thought maybe gods were just really big, well-formed, really powerful spirits that could run stuff. But maybe we need to start thinking bigger. Maybe we need to think of ways we can talk to bigger gods. Maybe that'll help with the future because, you know, when it comes down to it, we are 3 people. We need to get some allies. We need to get, you know, people or entities or beings or some shit who can actually change stuff. Like Dai. I mean, Dai is... It's a small god, but he can fucking do stuff.
And maybe when the time comes, he'll be big enough.
Yeah, maybe. Or at least maybe he can get us in contact with, you know, beings who could.
Certainly not a possibility we can discount.
Something to think about. God, I feel so awful. This hangover is terrible.
Have we got a few minutes to brew up some coffee or something?
I might, because, I mean, fuck me, darling, I can hardly even see.
Yeah, We need you
So,
in as close to fighting shape as we can get you.
Yeah. Oh, I might need a little sick. Let's go and make some coffee. There's a kitchen downstairs, isn't there?
You head downstairs and begin the process of, build up the little fire in the stove there. No one helps you. It's very much, do what you will, but do it yourself around here.
Chocolate.
You can use some of the water for chocolate. It's fine.
You begin the process and you make up some tea and chocolate. This is a short rest because it takes,
Cool.
because it takes a bit of a while to make some proper coffee. Oh, actually, you don't need to take a short rest to make coffee. You can just do this. You can do that in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it takes 10 minutes. Okay,
We don't really need a short rest.
Which means you are not around at 11 o'clock. Just checking.
No, we do. We make sure we are well out of here.
Oh, yeah. We make some coffee and we go.
So around 10:15, you drink up some coffee and just let that start to seep in a bit. Your exhaustion is suspended.
My exhaustion is still there. It's just covered with caffeine. I imagine I feel terrible.
Yeah. The first coffee doesn't have an effect. If you take multiple coffees throughout the day, they can grow your exhaustion level, but while still suppressed.
Okay.
So you can have one coffee and it'll be fine. If after a short rest, before you take a long rest, you take another coffee, it'll still suppress your exhaustion, but the actual exhaustion level will grow by 1.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
it's like
Terrible.
real-life
Yeah.
caffeine. You have a slight buzz, but then it's like a loan you have to then pay back with interest.
Oh, so much. Yeah. That's exactly how it is when you're knackered. Yeah.
Yes,
Or
same
sugar.
thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
With that, you make your way out of the festivities and south towards the broken rubble where you created the breach. And as you move to investigate that, we will pick up from there after these, no doubt important, messages. If you like Flintlocks and Fireballs, you can listen to us through the free, easy-to-use app Podcoin and get paid to listen to our podcast and every other podcast. When you listen to a podcast through the platform, you'll get Podcoin. You can spend Podcoin on Amazon or Starbucks gift cards, or you can just donate it all to charity, which is what we do. If you listen to podcasts anyway, do it through Podcoin, and you can help out someone else at no cost to yourself. So, download the Podcoin app on iPhone or through the App Store on Android, and you'll get 300 Podcoin off the bat with the invite code Flintlocks. Podcoin is the podcast player that pays. And now a word from our friends over at the D&D Grandma and the family that games together.
I think whatever aggravates me in real life, I can take it out in the game.
There is no word that I can sufficiently find in the English language to describe the feeling of putting your world and your story out there and watching your family bring it to life.
And I attribute it to, of course, my children, of course, to this game, and of course to all the love that's on this table.
That's a wonderful
we have for each
answer.
Yes,
and if you could see it, everybody is holding hands and hugging. I believe there's Kumbaya being sung faintly in the background.
The D&D Grandma and the Family That Games Together, a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition actual play podcast starring the D&D Grandma, her children, and her children-in-law. New episodes every Sunday on all your favorite podcatchers. Thank you, and keep on rolling.
Eat, drink, dance, be merry, do what thou wilt. And while you're doing that, consider liking, rating, sharing, subscribing, leaving an iTunes review. And don't forget to keep a pot of coffee. You're going to have one hell of a hangover. And welcome back. So, the three of you make your way south from the ongoing festivities out front of the City Hall, through several side streets towards the broken mound of rubble that covers the access way, the breach that you created out of the city. With a little bit of searching, you pretty quickly find the two chalk X's which have been made on the rubble, and you can see that there is indeed a slightly winding... It's not exactly a passage so much as just a place where the rocks and rubble have been placed in such a way that there is a hole small enough for a halfling to quite easily squeeze through. One that will be a little bit of wriggling on the part of Scamp to get through, and one that might present Celestia some challenges.
I'll push you through, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean...
We just need to find a big stick.
That sounds so great. This is my favourite day. It's nearly as good a plan as you jumping on my head in the chimney.
That would have worked.
I suppose it would have done. My neck also would have been very sad. Let's just go through here. Let's just do it.
As you are talking about this, you hear a sudden... And you look down, and about 6 streets away, you watch as, and I kid you not, this is the number I rolled, 100 zombies.
Holy shit.
Wow.
I hate you.
Okay, let's hurry up.
Begin following out. Okay, so one of you can go through at a time. What's your order of trying to get through?
Celestia first.
Corzin, go first. You'll be fastest.
Hurry,
Okay.
Yeah. You two go first, then you can pull me.
Okay, Corzin
All right.
going through first. I am going to ask for an acrobatics check from each of you to slither your way through. It is much easier for Corzin than for everyone else.
Okay, so is it like the DC for me is lower?
And yes, and under the circumstances, I think we're going to do a change in music. Okay, Corzin?
That's an 11.
That is enough. You quickly scamper and scrabble through the passageway, making your way through. So you have... Roll C. Okay, we'll say that after this we have 4 rounds until the Horde, which seems to notice the two living figures, begins shambling much faster towards you. So, however, you easily manage to scrabble your way through. You kind of nick at your clothes a couple of times, but otherwise make it through to the far end where you pop out the wall under the sun. Okay, you're now able to lean through and beckon through. Who goes through next?
I'll go. If I get stuck, push me.
Yeah, I will do.
Okay, you give me an acrobatics check to wriggle through the hole.
Definitely get stuck. That's a
When they are close enough, can I try and pull them from my side?
Okay, you kind of wiggle through, and you sort of catch your horns get caught on a bit of just a rubble which is sticking out. It's kind of stuck in the middle.
Give him a shove from the other end.
Okay, I will say then... Okay, so the pair of you are providing assistance. Yeah, okay, this is more pushing and shoving. Corzin, with Celestia pushing from the other side, make an athletics check with advantage.
Okay, that is a... Ooh! That is a 23.
Okay, you pull Scamp through. Scamp, your clothes are scratched. You get a couple of cuts as you go through, not enough to take damage. And your horn is like slightly scratched as the bit of rock that it was caught on breaks. But you are pulled out through to the far side. Okay. 3 rounds. No, it's now 2 rounds remaining until the zombies get to you as they hurl closer and closer. Celestia,
try and get the
give me an acrobatics check to try and slither through.
Oh god, these dice. I'm gonna go for Sarah's dice. Come on. Ah, yay! It's 17. That's not terrible.
That is enough. As you kind of
Thanks,
kind of
Sarah.
wriggling away, you get caught at one point. One of your part of your trousers just tears a little bit. You manage to.
No, it's more than 17. Sorry, it's like 20. I can't count.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You don't even tear your trousers. You just sort of
looking at the wrong scale.
Get a little bit of chalk dust on them, but you manage to slither your way through just in time as you hear the sort of groaning sounds behind, and a couple of decaying, rotten hands just sort of claw in vaguely after you. But these zombies don't really have it together enough to realise that they can just try and crawl in themselves. However, as the sounds of scrabbling and groaning come from behind, you can see there are a handful of soldiers in the blue uniform of the Sulian Navy rush up, pointing their muskets at you. Halt!
Captain Brandy!
You glance to each other.
Don't shoot, we're not undead.
We're friends of Alton Appleblossom.
Well, they did say their password. That's fair enough. They raise their muskets. Give us a bit of a fright there.
Sorry, there wasn't really a way to warn you.
No, it's fine now. Alright, we'll escort you over. Don't leave our sight, okay?
I just want to talk.
That's alright. Come on. We weren't expecting anyone, but come on. And they lead you towards, you can see in the distance, there are several military tents that have been erected into a simple campsite around the shut-off cattle gate out of the south of the city. There are a handful of men there, probably about 20 or 30 total, but you can see as you look down, there are also more of them scattered around different parts of the wall, including a number on horseback. And you can see that a temporary stables has been erected out of wood near the camp, which seems equipped to deal with a goodly number of horses, maybe a few dozen. It seems that this was primarily a scouting regiment scouting battalion that was brought in, which would make sense for the suppression duties.
Is this where runners are dispatched from?
The soldier nods. Indeed, this is operations for here. Sorry, we're all doing double shifts these days.
Not that many of you, then.
Rubs at his eyes. Not nearly enough for a job like this. Even just making sure nothing gets out. We're here on a permanent guard around that hall because we left it in place for running messages. I understand that the captain is, the commander is making, trying to coordinate with the people inside, but he sort of shakes his head. Oh, Regent save the king, or Regent save us. This is a rough time.
Yes, save the king.
It is a rough time, yeah.
He glances back at you for a moment, Scamp, then shakes his head and carries on. You are marched towards the centre of the camp, and there you can see, coordinating with a couple of people who have dismounted, one on a halfling on a pony, with a carbine, another human on a horse. Seems to be the commander seems to be issuing orders. He's faced away from you, and he kind of mutters them, and you can just hear kind of a voice going, "Okay, good work with that, but I must insist. All right. You accompany him. Go back to where you think you saw the breach. If it's actually the case, fine. I will authorize the use of some of the grenades if you need to. Just make sure that you can get a good look. And if there is a gap, we'll have a crew around as soon as we can to try and mortar it up, okay? Okay, go. And the pair of them saddle up and begin riding off again. You see them heading off around the city. The man turns around. He's looking at him. He seems to be a human man, about 5'10", in maybe his mid-30s, but seems his life hasn't tended him too well. He has quite a few. He has a few quite deep crow's eyes, although they're more crow's feet. Fucking crow's eyes. That'd be horrifying. Crow's feet around his faded blue eyes, although they're much more apparent because of his tanned skin. He has dirty blonde hair tied back in a soldier's tail and a trimmed sort of Van Dyke. He's wearing a tightly buttoned, double-breasted officer's jacket and a shaker, one of those sort of black felt sort of hats, similar to the ones worn by the Coldstream guards around Buckingham Palace, but these ones are much shorter.
Okay.
Yeah, not the full sort of shaker, but, classic winter sort of wear. He has, while gesturing extensively with his right hand, there is a black glove on his left hand, which he mostly keeps to his side. The soldiers by you call out, Commander Chevalier, we have some messengers from the groups inside. Yes, fine, one moment. He turns around, stops, and points at you, Corzin.
Okay.
Arrest that man, immediately! The guards look shocked and a few others come by.
I step in front of Corzin and hold my gun out.
On what grounds? What?
On the grounds of cowardice in the field of battle. This man is Corzin Horhace, and he is a coward!
I draw my pistol and level it at him. Be
Whoa,
very careful
no,
when you say this.
Okay, I think we all need to calm down.
A lot. You raise your own pistol, Celestia, as you're doing so, but around you, now, about 20 or 30 people have raised their own weapons and are pointing them at you. Corzin, roll on an insight check.
Okay. 13.
He's changed. But then humans age faster than halflings. And he's gone through a lot in the 10 years since you last saw Philippe Laurent Chevalier on Slavitska's Isle.
Oh
no.
No.
Philippe.
He stares at you furiously.
You're alive.
Corzin, do you know this person?
He
raises the black glove when you notice the hand doesn't move past the wrist. No thanks to you.
I didn't think anyone else made it. There is not a day that goes by that I don't regret what I did back then, but... How? How did you survive?
Sort of narrows his eyes. Corzin, make a persuasion check.
That's a 7.
Oh
no.
If you want that discussion, you can put down your weapons and allow yourself to be taken into custody.
I holster my pistol.
On the ground, please.
Fine. And I'd throw it down.
We have a problem here because we have shit to do. We can't have you taking him into custody.
He nods to the soldiers. Relieve Corzin there, the halfling, of his weapons. He looks to the other two. Forgive me, I assume you are messengers from Apple Blossom. Retain your weapons, but if you draw them, we will be keeping eyes on you. I apologize, but I have a personal matter.
I apologize, but you're not taking him anywhere. We need him. Whatever personal vendetta you have, is it more important than getting survivors out of the city? Because I don't think it is.
She's right, Philippe. We've got bigger problems right now.
Put your ego aside for a few minutes.
Raises his chin for a little at that.
You can talk, you can have an argument, I don't care. But we need him, we can't leave him here with you. That's not how this works.
Fine. Escort the 3 of them into my private tent. Let's do this now. And he turns and storms towards the largest tent in the camp. The soldiers around you one of them coughs apologetically. Sorry, but we are going to need to take the weapons off you. Please do not resist.
Corzin sort of roughly
mine.
Takes off the bandolier with the bombs and the blunderbuss and starts...
It's like that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where Elizabeth Swann has to take off all the weapons, isn't it?
Like angrily taking out all of them, yeah.
After that, there's an awkward position where they start loading up the weapons. A few of them you hear are just like, fucking hell, it's like a walking armory.
I whisper insofar as I can to the other two. He's a wizard.
Oh.
Oh, right.
Just be on your guard.
Where do you know him from?
I last saw him in a rowing boat being assailed by Sahuagin off the coast of Slavitska's Isle.
Oh, that wizard!
Oh.
Fuck!
He was on his gap
You
year.
said he was Ponzi.
Oh,
Fucking
gap
hell.
year wizard. Probably shouldn't call
I
him
don't
that.
know how
Probably
he could
not.
have possibly survived, but I have so many questions, and I at the very least owe this man an explanation.
Yeah, we've got time. Let's do it.
The soldier's like, please come with us. And they lead you on towards the tent. Corzin and Celestia, roll me a perception check. Just you.
Okay.
13.
8.
Oh, mate, you've not had a good few minutes, have you?
A little bit distracted.
Really not. Although I imagine Corzin is just sort of staggered by this.
You are, Corzin, you're a little bit busy at the moment. But Celestia, you see peering over the top of the tent what appears to be a brilliantly furred monkey with fur of pure silver and eyes of silver as well. Just on top of the tent, peering at you as you approach.
Where's Jeffrey?
Take a shot.
Where is Jeffrey right now? Everybody drink.
Jeffrey is... I just rolled for where Jeffrey is. You have no idea where Jeffrey is.
Oh, shit.
He's not in your pack.
I don't say
But
anything.
that monkey does not look like Jeffrey.
Okay.
It is a slightly different monkey.
Oh, I know. It just made me think of Jeffrey.
Shit, yeah, no, I rolled a 1 on where's Jeffrey.
Oh no!
Jeffrey's off having an adventure somewhere.
Okay.
No!
We'll deal with that later, right?
Okay. Yes, I have a small system for figuring out where Jeffrey is when you forget him.
That's really good.
It's very small.
And really worrying.
It only really activates on a 1 or a 20. But yeah, Jeffrey is... but yeah, you make your way into the building. So into the tent. Philippe is standing sort of facing a table away from you. And you can see his hands are behind his back in a sort of military stance. But the one that is not just unmoving is gripped into a tight fist. Please, take up a position around the outside of the tent, but do not disturb us unless I call for you. Yes, sir. The guards nod and make their way out of the tent. He turns around. You say you have an explanation.
Yes. It's possibly not going to be much of what you want to hear, but I thought that you were all lost. I mean, did Cho make it as well?
He, you see he inhales and his breath catches a little. No. Grits his teeth a little. I could not recover anything of her. You will be perhaps pleased to know that I buried Reeve.
Yes, I found her grave. That blunderbuss is...
So you went back and wait. He frowns. Bring in the halfling's blunderbuss. And a sword, if you have it. It will have a distinctive handle. And one of the soldiers does indeed bring in Death and Dishonor. Philly sort of grinds his teeth. So you went and desecrated her grave as well?
No. I found myself back on Slavitska's Isle a couple of months ago with these two. And I saw what remained of Reeve. She was a spirit, angry and not at rest. I did what I could, and for Regent knows why, she saw fit to bestow upon me the weapons that she no longer had a use for. And I saw that they were put to use. The Sahuagin that were native around that island were all wiped out by me and these two.
Hello.
Glances to the two of you.
I give him a nod, but don't say anything.
Seems to acknowledge for the first time the oddity of your races.
You all deserved far better than you got from me, and I freely admit that. I ran. I was a scared, panicked child. And there is not a day that goes by that I don't regret it.
You are older than me.
I still had a lot more growing to do, and it seems like you've outstripped me there. Did you just wash up on shore? How did you escape?
After the boat broke up, I grabbed hold of Reeve. I swam for the shore. You had already jumped by that point. Cho tried to swim as well. The sharks got to us. She was not as fast a swimmer. Fought them. Maybe she bought some time. We were all fighting in the water. And it was red. One of the bigger sharks came for me and Reeve. He holds up the stiff, black-gloved hand. Took his prize. I put some fire into its nose, drove it off. Didn't realize until I'd managed to swim what was left of my strength to the shore that it had already torn a hole into Reeve's side. She had a healing potion left, enough to seal the stump, prevent me from... But Cho did not make it. The sharks fell upon her, and there was a frenzy, and I was not in a state to recover any of it.
Corzin's eyes are streaming. He says, I thought I'd be drowned within minutes of jumping, but I know I blacked out at some point. I was picked up what could have been hours, what could have been days later. I was in and out of consciousness for the next week and a half. I don't know even the name of the ship or what they were doing, but I ended up in Meadmere. And while I was there, I met a very kind-hearted soul who nursed me back to health, and in time we grew very attached to one another. I thought all of you were dead.
I thought you were. I thought you had drowned. And now I find out that you lived.
You know, until I found myself back at Slavitska's Isle literally a couple of months ago, there were so many days where I fervently wished that I had died. But
now that I see you, all I can think of is if there had been another pair of hands, we might have gotten Cho's body to the shore for burial.
Yeah. What were we even doing? I mean...
He puts his working hand over his eyes for a moment. You were young, as you say, and foolish, and thought we could have an adventure.
Yeah, and innocent people paid the price. But while it took me a fair long time to come around to this, I flatter myself that I have learned from that experience. And it has one thing in common with the only other time in my life that I have acted like a coward, in that I bitterly regret it. And what I'm trying to do now is to help as many people inside that city as I possibly can. I have a means, or at least a potential means, of getting a fair amount of them out. There are obstacles, but none of them wholly insurmountable. That's why I'm here.
I will be honest. If I thought that putting a bolt of fire through your chest right now would bring them back, I would.
And I wouldn't blame you. Not for a second. But it won't.
No. No, it won't. So, you say you're here to help?
Yes.
All right. And it seems you are working with Apple Blossom.
Yes.
Or you would not know the password?
Apple Blossom is a former crewmate of mine. He's a good man. And I owe him almost as much as I owe you.
Well, perhaps you can repay that debt. Because it seems the Regent... I do not know if the Regent is smiling on us or playing a cruel trick. Because the Sawagin are back.
Yeah, we've seen.
No, Corzin. The Sawagin are back. I believe this is the same clan.
I suppose it's possible, but do you think they were...
Do you remember when we turned back, when we realized how fucked we were, and we turned the boat around and tried to row for the shore, we saw that creature in the midst of the water spout, like a cross between a man and a toad.
Yeah.
The Marid. I believe it is here.
Here now.
He nods, a sort of drive coming to his eyes.
That makes terrible sense.
I think it is keeping these Sawagin together. The way that they have been coming up to the surface, from what my scouts have seen, they're not just after the bodies. They've been taking treasure as well. I studied these creatures by what I could, it seemed, and I studied what happened to Slevitska's Isle, and it too was looted of treasures by the Sawagin. I think it has seen an opportunity and it is taking it.
Yeah, well, it's hungry for the spoils of the Kraken. I don't suppose you were here when it hit?
No.
Well, I was. And I can assure you that the Kraken has no interest in the riches of the land other than its people. So there's plenty left for this thing to go after. But it's not going to be expecting any kind of heavy organized resistance. Also, I too have spent the intervening years studying the Sawagin and learning what their weaknesses are. Now, I and my companions here were able to tackle the ones back on Slevitska's Isle. As far as I can tell, there was not a single one left alive when we went.
He nods and looks to the pair of you. My thanks.
I nod, but again don't say anything.
You keep interesting company.
You could say that, but they are people I owe my life to 12 times over.
Same to you, darling.
Nods, looks between the pair of you. You seem a little young for this sort of endeavour.
I am an ordinary child.
Celestia Max sort of laughs but covers it with a cough.
With the greatest of respect, Scamp, there is nothing ordinary about you.
Yes, there is. I'm ordinary child.
Very well. Seem frowns a little at that. My friend, I like to think of myself as a man of learning. While some of my men and women under my command might feel suspicious of your kind, I will ensure that while you are here, you are not ill-treated.
It would be most unwise.
Makes a nice change, though.
Besides, if we get that up, if we can stop the Sawagin, it will make things a lot easier.
I agree.
Perhaps soon we will win this war, restore the king to where he should be, and be able to get back to our lives. And then we'll be able to send the rest of the army in to put those creatures down for good.
I'm sorry, but I've got to ask, if you were left alone there, how did you get off the island?
I ended up I built a raft. It took me weeks. With one hand.
Fucking hell.
Reaching for
He
Sorry.
winces a little. Well, 2 hands, and he gestures a little, and you see a ghostly sort of hand-like thing formed out of planes of force appears and just picks up just like a little pen nearby, waves it and puts it down.
Oh, I want one of those.
Well, perhaps if you study hard, if there's a university that will take you, you might one day become a mage yourself.
I remember they used to say of you that no one could see where you kept your third hand.
Let me say, it won me quite a few card games.
I'll bet. Oh. This doesn't even begin to...
You know, Reevie never figured out. She never figured out how I kept winning.
You're lucky she didn't box your ears.
That I am.
And you see Corzin's shoulders just visibly sag at the memory of his former companions. And he, after a moment, looks up into Philippe's eyes and says, Is it pointless for me to apologize?
No.
I'm so
But
sorry.
I will not You do not have my forgiveness, but the dead will make up their own minds. And if what you say is true, then you already have Reevie's.
Fair enough.
As he says this, you notice Corzin and Celestia. Something peeks its way through a tent flap, and a monkey, just seemingly made of silver, steals up into the tent, clambers up the side of Philippe, who seems completely unaware of it, and perches on his shoulder, staring at you.
Ah, so he can't see it. Interesting. I didn't say that in character.
Yeah.
It was an out-of-character observation.
Corzin,
so.
you do recognise this monkey.
Okay. Where from?
I'm just going to say, because it's way back since we first decided it, this was Che's spirit.
Oh, of course, yeah. I say to him, one of the things that has happened since then is I've seemingly developed the ability to see spirits. Do you remember that monkey that, well, I suppose you wouldn't know, but it's still with you.
The one you said was always hanging around Cho.
Yes.
He's not bullshitting you. It's on your shoulder, darling, right now.
I wish there was a way that I could allow you to see what I'm seeing. Saints, this sounds like I'm just a raving lunatic, but look me in the eye and tell me that I'm bullshitting you here. Why? Why after all this time?
He frowns and studies you. He just searches your face. And then finally nods. Okay. I believe you.
Thank you.
Well, I suppose that changes some things. I thought she would not have forgiven. Well, he shakes his head.
I do not deserve any of your forgivenesses, but I would wish to do what I can to atone for it.
I have thought the same thing for 10 years. By the way, a question, and I ask you to answer this honestly. It does not leave this tent. You are working with Apple Blossom, which makes me think you are in this, and you were in the city when it fell, so you must have been working with him, which means, correct me if I am wrong, that you were fighting on the part of the revolutionaries.
We've had a bit of a checkered history, considering who we've been working with, but...
Does it matter now?
We have worked with the revolutionaries in the past, but we have also been working for... essentially the betterment of the largest number of people.
Exactly. That is what confuses me. Because my question is, why?
I may have been a coward once, but I'm not a monster.
But you are working for the Assembly, if you have sided of the revolution. He shakes his head. I lied before, by the way.
What?
I was here when it happened.
Then you know.
The army split in two. Half of them marching north, the other marching south. We elected to remain behind, but I first chose to go south. Because you see, before this happened, before the attack, I was not sure. I thought I could trust this new assembly. I could trust their word, that they really had in mind what was best for the people. But I was, by sheer chance, I was working not far from the head of operations when the news came through to me that an assassin had murdered General Fernald because he was showing signs of wishing to support the crown. An assassin that must have been sent by the assembly. So when General Marie Honoré turned south, I thought to go with her. But since I've been here, I've heard more and more disturbing news from what I know of the assembly.
What have you heard?
I believe their government is illegal and will become tyrannical. I have heard that they are forcing their way into the thoughts of their own officers that they suspect of treason, that they have read the minds of captains of their own guards and interrogated and tortured them. I've heard that they have executed them without trial. I've heard that they sent another assassin to murder the king, and the only reason that that assassin stopped was that he found something even more damning. A chest of letters of suspect correspondence, which the assembly then used to arrest and imprison their own political opponents within the assembly itself before a crucial vote. With a fifth of the assembly detained, and one of this so-called president of the assembly, Savat's main opponents, the Duchess, having fled for her freedom, how can a vote that put him in power be legitimate? How can any vote where a fifth of the voters are in jail count? A man who has sent assassins, who has used blackmail, whose government has red-mined, tortured, executed their own soldiers. I cannot trust that such a government will not fall to tyranny. There are many problems. There were many problems with the government before. But they didn't do that. As far as I can tell, I think I am trying to fight on the side of right, on the side of a government which is not going to abuse its people, and, well, I will not stop you, not today. It is a fight for another time, and we must work together, but I just have to know.
We've both done things because we felt we were doing it for the sake of the greater good of people.
That much is true.
You've got some perhaps very legitimate concerns about the revolution, and I'm sure everyone does. The fact remains, though, the king was not governing effectively. His people were starving. He'd just lost a war. The revolution, like it or not, was more or less inevitable.
Also, you know, people being forced to hide who they are, and, I mean, just speaking personally here, but people being born into power scares me. I don't think it should work like that.
You were concerned about governments falling to tyranny, and I think so are the rest of us, but is not the king a perfect example of that? He's the latest in a very, very long line of people who had so much power, they were completely and utterly out of touch and apathetic to the wants and needs of their nation. Now, we could have a big, long philosophical debate about this, and I would welcome it on some of the other days, but right here and right now we need to do our best to do the most for the most amount of people.
You're right. The Sawagin. I have been able to send a couple of scouts, my better swimmers, down to take a look. Those that have returned, and I have not been able to spare many, have reported back that there is a natural shelf in the waters beneath the bay. That seems to have been hollowed out a little bit into more of a cave, and that cave is where the married and the Sawagin closest to him are storing their various gains, and also where he seems to be resting and being brought food. I believe that if the married can be killed, the rest of the Sawagin will break away and return to their more traditional sort of hunting. As things are right now, without a central force coordinating them, they will pretty quickly break up into smaller clans.
And you think they'll leave and go elsewhere?
I think it will be. I think that, but we have shot and killed a few of them here and there. If they were here just on their own, they would have gone off in such of easier prey by now.
If they're broken up, then they won't present so much of a threat to anyone on the land. They need to be organized in order to be effective.
Indeed.
You saw how the ones at Slavitska's Isle, as soon as the priestess went down, they scattered.
Exactly. Speaking of which, if you are looking to take advantage of that, there's something I can do for you. I cannot... He grits his teeth. Ideally wish I could follow you down there. But I have a command to look after. I must watch these walls. But there is at least something I can do for you. Do you have 10 minutes?
I think so, yes.
I don't see why not.
This is easier to do if I do it from the book. One moment. He goes into a series of chests, pulls one open, and searches around until he finds what Scamp you recognise as a series or as a series of ritual instructions bound into a small paper booklet.
I want to look over his shoulder the whole time.
This is this should allow you, once done, to breathe underwater for 24 hours.
Could I have a copy of that to read?
He looks over a little bemused. This is a highly technical manual.
Scamp is a
Don't
very
underestimate
gifted
them.
child.
I just like reading things. I'm a normal child.
Roll a deception check.
That is a 26.
Oh!
Fucking hell, man!
He rolls his eyes a little. I can lend you this copy for a day if you wish. I want it back.
Yes, please.
Note, if you take it's a few pages long. If you take a short rest at any point while you have this, you can copy out the text and then later decode it.
That would be so...
Yes.
so
That would be
good
amazing.
thing to have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will it do all of us?
Yes, I should be able to do all three of you.
That's incredibly helpful, thank you.
Begins drawing takes out some chalk and begins drawing an extensive series of circles, muttering quietly and making certain measurements. And after actually 11 very awkward minutes, there is a sort of flash of bluish green light before he starts rubbing out the circle. You feel like for a moment as if something catches in your throat, like you've kind of got like a bit of a frog in there, and you burp and it's gone, but your throat feels a little phlegmy somehow.
Ugh.
Yeah, it does have a bit of an aftertaste, but you can now dunk your head in some water and you'll be able to breathe it as well as air until about this time tomorrow.
Very
Great.
useful.
And he takes the piece of paper. Don't take that into the water with you, okay?
No, I won't.
Okay, have a look.
We could spend some time before we go there if you want, darling.
If you don't mind.
I don't think it makes a difference if we do it now or in an hour.
Obviously,
have some more coffee, though.
When you do your dive, make sure not to take anything down with you that would be spoiled by water.
Yep.
Do you have any waterproof bags?
I do, as a matter of fact, yes. Well, more rainproof, but I have made a few of these more... I've worked a little bit with some of with the quartermaster to make sure these bags are safe for the divers I've been sending down. So, yes, I can provide you with one of them.
Brilliant.
He fetches you one. It's about the size of a satchel.
Yeah, speaking of not ruining stuff, could we leave some stuff with you while we go?
Of course.
All right, thank you. That would be really helpful.
I have some secure chests, yeah.
Thanks.
If you see a monkey with a sword, just tell him I'll be back soon.
What?
His name is Jeffrey. He's very well behaved.
Celestia finally snaps and just starts giggling in the corner. Apparently that was like just one weird thing too far.
gives you a weird look.
It's been a really long day.
Well, if you need a bit of time to rest and refresh yourselves, I have a bit of water there, some rations. Take some time.
Thank you.
I need to attend to my people, and as he tends to leave, he stops at the entry, glances back at you, calls him. Good luck.
And the same to you, Philippe.
Turns and leaves the tent. Oh! Return him his weapons.
Okay, Corzin sinks to his knees.
A number of weapons are brought back in and left on a side table.
They'll be really useful underwater.
I'm going to sit in front of him. How are you doing?
Corzin just sort of shakes his head, like...
You did good.
You did really well.
I'm both kind of elated that he's alive and ashamed and this was more than I had ever had any kind of right to expect, but the fact that he's here, alive, it's
kind of brilliant, actually.
I can't believe it. I honestly have no idea how I am going to succinctly put the last 24 hours into any kind of intelligible message to Molly.
Oh, we have so many sending spells to do.
You know what? I have about 1,000,001 questions for that man, but I think I've already pushed my luck far too far for today.
Yeah.
You need to leave him for now.
He doesn't owe you any answers.
No.
Give him time.
Before I arrived at Slivitska's Isle with you lot, I might have believed that what he owed me was a bullet between the eyes.
No.
As far as he's concerned, I'm a deserter. And it's only...
Though, you were a scared kid. You probably
And
wouldn't
you
have survived.
weren't soldiers.
No, none of you were. You all survived. How you... It's not even a decision when you do that. Survival reflex kicked in and you all survived the way your instinct thought was best. I understand why you're all blaming each other and yourselves, but there's no point.
Well, like I said, if I'm alive, then I might as well, if nothing else, use the fact that I'm alive to do better by people.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, don't we?
Good. You've got to do something good with the time that they didn't get.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I hope that for all of our differences, Philippe has been.
Looks like it.
Well, he must have graduated and had a commission. He must have been, what, 21? 22 at the most at the time?
Fuck.
I mean, I hadn't been that long out of Barnacle Point, relatively speaking, but I'd been sailing a lot longer than he had at the time.
Is he right, though, about the revolution?
He has his own point of view, I'm sure, and...
Have we ruined it for this new government.
No. It's going to be messy, but revolutions always are.
When he puts it like that, okay, he got some of the facts wrong, but...
Exactly.
He got some of it right.
The truth...
I'm just starting to feel like whatever we do, people are going to die.
The truth resists simplicity almost always.
That's a nice phrase.
No, but the thing is, like, all of these were our ideas to go along with, and the way that we went about them, that was ours. I mean, detect thoughts, that was my idea.
Mm.
Like, I melted the general's face. I mean, that was all of us.
Yeah.
But
as we did all of those things because we
thought it would save lives.
And
we thought it
yeah,
would
but exactly. Every time
up.
we try and save people, it fucks somebody else up. What are we supposed to do? I'm freaking out over here.
Just what we've said. We've got to try and do what we can for the...
it never works! Never fucking works!
That's unfair. There are people alive today who wouldn't be because of us. Granted,
yeah, and you know what? I'm just starting to feel like that'll balance out somewhere else the way we're going. It's been a long day. It's been a very long day. I don't know, I just feel like I'm going a little bit crazy. It's too much. Oh, I really did just want to be a fucking musician, you know what I mean? Just didn't want to be a creepy cleric underground. That's
we all wanted
all it was. And, you know, maybe I should have stayed there. Maybe less people would have died if I was sacrificing people in church every day. Because this is getting really bad, and
if you'd stayed there,
I'm freaking the fuck out. What do we do?
I'm glad you didn't stay there.
Yeah, so am I.
Thanks.
I think I'd probably be dead if you had.
Well, we probably all would, one way or the other.
Well, I suppose if you two are alive, it's worth it then.
Thank you, but I think you're doing yourself a disservice. You made a decision to leave, and even if that initial decision was, well, motivated by nothing other than your own wants, at least those wants were in some ways kind. You didn't want to leave so that you could, do what you wanted to who you wanted without consequences. You wanted to leave, as far as I can tell, because you wanted to be with a person you loved. And somebody else, mark you, came along and fucked that up. That wasn't you that made that happen. It was your sister.
Yep. I don't know, I'm just starting to think maybe we're carrying around some sort of hideous bad luck. Like, every time we try and make something better, it just gets worse.
We all wanted
like,
a life
I thought we'd
for
done
ourselves.
good things helping the revolution. I thought that what we'd done was good, and I thought it helped, but actually what it's done is made people think the revolution is terrible, and then the king's going to sit on the throne forever. It's a power that he was born to, and the whole fucking horrible racist power structure is just going to carry on forever, and it's maybe all our faults. And oh, sorry, I'm really panicking over here. I just
Sometimes there are no good choices in life. There are just relative levels of bad ones, but you still have to make the choice.
What's the point?
You don't get off making choices by refusing. Sad to say it, but if our dealings with Olga have taught us anything, it's that.
What if the world ends because I was stupid enough to look forwards? What if that's why it happens? What if now everything that we do is just making that happen more every time we try and stop it, it gets closer to happening, because that's how it usually feels like it works.
You can't know that. You just can't.
Maybe I'm just going crazy at this point.
I wouldn't honestly blame you if you did. We're dealing with a lot of very, very heavy shit here. But...
I mean... God, you have much more license to not be okay than I do right now. You've just had a mad 10 minutes. Are you alright? How are you even doing? Do you need a drink or anything? Like, fuck.
I wouldn't say
I need
no.
a drink.
Have a drink. There you go. I just passed whiskey over.
Okay, he takes a generous chug of it and hands it back.
You just scamp. Yeah, you have some. Fuck it,
Thank
you're a child.
you.
But who even cares at this point? I'm going to have some as well.
Look, something I think we all have in common is we all wanted a life for ourselves that is a lot less complicated than the one we have. But here we are.
Yeah, but you know when you were having that chat with him a couple of minutes ago and you said that whole thing where you were like, oh, we were just kids wanting an adventure and then loads of people died because of it. That just felt really fucking relevant.
Close to home?
Yeah.
You can't blame yourself for wanting things. I wanted to kill the Kraken ever since I had my entire family and home ripped away from me by
the
it.
Kraken still exists. Dionysus, by the way, said that there wasn't anything bigger than it today. Just in case I hadn't mentioned that little bit of conversation.
No.
Oh, good, because then that means the end of the world.
Well, I can't say that I'm honestly shocked.
Oh, fucking hell.
But you know, these things are ripples, aren't they? Like, every decision that we make causes ripples. Bigger decision, bigger ripples.
I'm starting to think maybe I should just sit in a fucking cupboard for the rest of my life and get pissed.
You can't do that.
That's a decision. And there'll be consequences.
Not only is that a decision, but it's also a fucking cop-out.
I know, and I don't mean it. I'm just freaking out.
Corzin will go up to Celestia and sort of...
I'm sat in front of you. I was already...
Oh, okay. If you're sat down, he's going to very, very gently take you by the shoulders and look you in the face and say, look, Celestia, I know you probably don't want to hear this right now, but you're a good person.
Just stop with that.
You're a good person who has made some bad decisions.
Shut up, okay? I don't want to fucking hear it.
You can't let the fact that you've made bad decisions stop you from trying to make any. Because then any good thing that you could do in the future is fucked.
I know.
And I know you don't want that. You're too good of a person to not want that.
Stop. Sorry. I didn't mean to freak out when
I know.
Something really big was happening for you.
It's all right.
It's not helpful, and I'm sorry.
It's all right. Seriously, we've had enough happen to us in the last 24 hours that everyone is well beyond their freak-out threshold at this point.
We've been up since 2 a.m. and so much has happened.
Yeah. But look, you know why I've said a couple of times, one thing at a time? It's because sometimes it's just too much.
You know, sometimes the one things, like, when you break them down into, like, okay, we'll do this thing and then this thing, all the things are still really big.
Yeah. I mean, as you've just said, killing the Kraken isn't exactly a small thing.
Like, I mean, I thought our weird was done. And then, I mean, I don't know how you feel, because this is actually your weird, not my weird. I thought our weird was done, and then we ran into fucking Philippe from Savitska's Isle. I don't know how you're looking so fine. Like, why am I the one freaking out?
Believe me, I am not
are you
fine.
okay?
I'm just dealing with it in a different way to you.
Okay. If you need to be a panicky mess for a few minutes, just let me know, and I'll finish mine, and then you can have one, okay?
He does like, genuinely laugh in a slightly manic way, and
there it is.
Brings you in for a bit of a hug.
I hug him. Scamp, come here. Bring them in too.
Yeah, it does seem a bit non-stop right now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, first we had, I might have been murdered, and then I might have a sibling, or they might have been murdered. And then the world was ending, and then there was more pacts, and then there was hundreds of undead again, and then this. It's been a bit of a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and visions of the apocalypse. Just in the middle of that. Visit from Dionysus just to round the whole thing off. We haven't even said all of it. Fucking hell.
I'm not a great believer in fate. As I'm sure you can appreciate.
I might be now,
There's just something that doesn't sit right with me about the idea that there's so much seeming random shit that happens in the world for me to honestly believe that it's part of the Regent's plan or whoever. But I think that perhaps a good way of looking at this is that if we are in a position to do something about this, then at least that implies that we can.
We've got to try, haven't we?
Exactly.
The future isn't fixed.
No, it isn't.
Olga said that.
She said some things might be fixed.
Well, until
it sounds like there were certain things that... Well, I mean, this is just a guess, but she said that there are certain things that no matter what we do, they still happen.
Okay, so it's either fixed or it's not. And if it's not, we can't do anything.
But if it is, we've got to try.
And if it is, then we keep trying until we fix it.
Yeah.
That's easy then. Don't have to make a decision. We know we'll keep on trying. And if we never succeed, we never succeed. But that doesn't mean it wasn't worth trying.
Sandcastles.
Exactly.
You two are fucking wise, do you know that?
I'm really not. Have you seen my passive perception?
Oh, lovely bit of meta there. Alright, but... Seriously, though, there are things, Celestia, I'm sure, that you have experienced that I will never fully understand. But that isn't the same as being what you're treating yourself like, which is stupid. It's not.
I don't know what to say to that.
I think we've all done a reasonably good job thus far of looking out for each other. We're in a position where we're having, by necessity, to share all of our dangers and all of our burdens.
We've only known each other for a couple of months. That's insane.
Yeah, it's been quite a couple of months, hasn't it?
Yeah.
If it helps, it's the longest I've known anyone.
Oh, that's really sad.
How long did you know the dwarf back in Squirrel's Cove?
A couple of months. I didn't know her well. It's just a place to sleep and a job to do.
Oh, fair enough, but I think that's a very good example, actually, of how quickly and how possibly irrevocably things can change.
That thought doesn't feel comforting right now.
It's both, I suppose, heartening and terrifying in equal measure.
And I'm glad they have.
Yeah, so am I.
Glad I met both of you.
Yeah.
Even if it all went tits up and I died today, I still wouldn't change it.
You know, me too.
Wouldn't take it. Well, maybe some of it I would do slightly differently. But I'd still rather be on this journey with you.
There's nothing I'd change since I left. I mean, maybe some small things. We've done some stupid shit, but like, maybe you know what I mean. The sentiment's there, okay?
Yeah. We don't ever talk to Olga. We just go, you know what? We'll skip this island.
Okay, we'll save up 200 gold and just get a scrying spell somewhere else. It literally was for a scrying spell that all of this happened.
But
well, fortunately, you're not going to have to do that anymore, are you?
I know. I can just do them now.
If we save the world because we made a stupid deal,
yeah,
we would never know about any of this.
No, we wouldn't. Maybe she would have caused the whaling sickness anyway and they all would have died.
Oh, she'd have done it eventually for someone.
Of course.
Because she can, so she will.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have a swig of that whiskey yourself.
Yep. I do so.
Strangely, it does not cut through the phlegm in your throat.
Oh, water breathing spells feel awful, by the way.
I think I could do it, you know. This paper's not that complicated.
Blasted
He's
useful,
not as
though.
smart as he thinks.
The paper is ridiculously complicated.
I believe you.
He was always the smartest of the four of us. But
I have literally the lowest intelligence possible to be able to cast this spell. I have the minimum requirement for
That's
it.
so good.
The tent flap rustles a little and one of the soldiers pokes his head in. So, sorry to bother you. Was told you might want some tea. Brings in a couple of mugs.
Tea would be amazing.
yes, thank you.
Passes them around to you. Just little tin cups with hot tea in. So, seems like you're planning on going for a bit of a dip. Gotta say, oh no, that's great. Some of us who have gone down, I feel sorry for Pedro and Simone. They didn't come back, so...
how many are there in that cave? There's a big frog thing, and then...
There's a big frog thing.
How many others?
I mean, there's probably like about 50 of them plus the sharks in total, but most of them aren't in the cave. They're just swimming around doing stuff. Within the cave itself...
Like, usually, how many?
I only saw it once. There were, I think, 6 in there with the big frog thing. The ones that are closest to it. Like, some come and go, and there's, they seem to have patrols with the sharks, but beyond that, seems like just the ones closest to it.
What were your divers armed with?
Actually, just some... Well, I mean, the swords aren't much use down there, and the powder weapons don't work. But we do have some fishing harpoons, which are left over from some of the fishing boats that got wrecked near here, which we use.
This could be alright.
They'd have been outmanned and I would say gunned, but weaponed.
But yes, he looks over at your weapons. This is a quick check for Jason. But I'm pretty I'm just thinking, I think what you have are sabers/scimitars. I'm using the same stats for saber and scimitar, and I'm pretty sure they're slashing, not piercing.
Yeah, they're slashing.
Yeah, so they would it's piercing weapons that don't get disadvantage during underwater combat. I think I'm just going to check here.
His sacks would
underwater
be piercing,
combat.
but yeah.
See under combat. Thanks. Useful index. Combat underwater. There we go. Just double check. Haven't looked at these rules since literally episode 8.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
40 episodes ago.
40 episodes ago.
Technically, it's just, it's not even a piercing weapon. Disadvantage on the attack. You have disadvantage on the attack roll if you don't have a swimming speed, unless the weapon is a dagger, javelin, short sword, spear, or trident. The fishing harpoons are functionally tridents.
Okay. So we wouldn't get disadvantage with them. And if you can fire a gun, you can use them?
Well, no, because powder won't work. The powder.
No, but I mean ability-wise.
So...
Like, we're proficient in guns. If we're proficient in guns, are we also proficient in harpoons?
Sorry,
how does that
this
work?
is not the age of gas-powered fishing harpoons.
No, this is like
I don't know how they work.
I mean, in the sense of literally, this is a harpoon that you hurl.
Oh, I'm picturing harpoon guns. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's a
like
harpoon
a spear,
that you. It's just a spear with a
You
with a
know
barb
why
on
I
the
always
end.
picture a gun when you say harpoon? It's because of Lemony Snicket. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Always picture the harpoon gun.
No, those haven't been invented yet. This is literally a long spear with a barb on the end.
Yeah, I think we're about 100 years off that type of harpoon gun.
Yeah. But those do 1d6 piercing damage, or 1d8 if you use if you hold it with both hands. And they can be thrown underwater. So a ranged weapon attack automatically misses a target beyond the weapon's normal range, and firearms just don't function underwater. Even against a target within normal range, the attack roll has disadvantage unless the weapon is a crossbow, a net, or a weapon that is thrown like a javelin, including a spear, trident, or darts. In this case,
spells, I assume, are different.
Spells work fine. The underwater breathing allows you to speak, do the vocal components of spells, no problem.
Cool.
While you have that spell in effect. If you're not able to breathe underwater, then it consumes, as it were, the air you're holding your breath with to speak spells.
Yeah, but we're going to be able to breathe underwater.
Yeah,
so that's fine.
But you can breathe underwater with this prepared. Creatures and objects fully immersed in water have, not surprisingly, resistance to fire damage.
Yeah.
I am shocked.
Yes.
Corzin still has the adamantine arrow. If he were to use that in just as a stabbing weapon, would that be
as a dagger?
Right. Okay.
So it would indeed have no disadvantage at all. And I will say that yes, you can dual wield a harpoon and that. I mean, technically, with your feet, with your dual wielding proficiency,
if I can dual wield
your two weapon proficiency,
weapons,
you can just
I'll
hold like two short harpoons and just do that. That's fine.
Okay, just a thought.
But yes, it would use dagger stats. I'll say.
Fair.
But yes, we have some harpoons, we have some nets, that sort of thing. That's what we've been using, or just knives strapped to our bodies.
Fair enough. I mean, a couple of harpoons wouldn't go amiss, would they?
So I'll bring them in for you. And he does bring in literally like 4 harpoons.
Lovely, thank you.
And a net, in case you want it for whatever reason.
Let's well take it. What?
A net. I want to have a go.
Okay, it is a short fishing net.
I get tangled in it really quickly.
You get your horns stuck.
It's stuck. Ow.
You look silly.
Hold on a second. Give it here. And I carefully try and remove the net.
Okay, you carefully pick Scamp out of the net. Rules for the net, by the way, just a quick... It's in the player's handbook, but a large or small creature hit by a net is restrained until freed. It does no damage. It has no effect on creatures that are formless or creatures that are huge or larger. Any creature may use its action to make a DC 10 strength check, freeing itself or another creature within its reach on a success. Dealing 5 slashing damage to the net also frees the creature without harming it, ending the effect and destroying the net. When you use an action, bonus action, or reaction to attack with a net, you can make only one attack, regardless of the number of attacks you can normally make.
Okay.
Because it is in a net.
Yay.
It is thrown it can be thrown underwater with a range of 5. 5 feet.
Okay.
You can net something directly next to you.
Cool.
Fair.
Could still be helpful, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, whoever wishes to can take the net, and you have enough for 2 of you to have a harpoon and Corzin to dual wield harpoons should you wish.
I'll take a harpoon, why not?
Does 1d6 piercing damage.
Yeah, I've got it. I've written it down. You said.
I'll make a note of that. Would that be dex-based?
I'm afraid, let me just double check. I don't believe there is a finesse version of this thing. So
Just double checking.
No, these are strength based. If you want to use, actually no,
It's more or less the same difference for me at this point.
But looking at what you're doing as you're saying that, the fellow who's coming, who's actually a halfling, goes, "Well done, a moment." Comes back and pops down and unrolls a little sheath with a pair of, not fantastically well made, but you can tell these were made by traditional halfling smithing techniques, a pair of saxes.
Oh.
These work pretty well for stabbing large fish.
Well, I've got one of my own, but yeah. All right.
Yeah, so these are short swords, which means that they are finesse weapons. You can use dex
great.
effects to attack them. So yeah, if you want to pick up these saxes, which are functionally short swords.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah, will do.
So still 1d6 damage, but you can do them with a dex attack instead.
Fine.
So I guess, yeah, you can take you can take a sax, you can take the spare sax if you wish, Celestia, and also a harpoon. Scamp, you have a harpoon and a net.
No, I've got a rapier.
I
Sax
do not
isn't
want
be
them.
wildly different, is it?
Okay, you put them down. The rapier will actually work underwater.
I'm gonna just take my
take the
rapier.
rapier.
I'm not gonna take anything different. I'll take one harpoon.
Kind of hold it up and wiggle it in the air. The scout looks at it. Yeah, I guess that would work.
I don't need weapons. I'm an ordinary child.
Why the fuck are you going on this then? Please, stay safe.
No, I'm fine.
He shakes his head and walks off, and you hear him mutter, "Crazy fucking thieves."
Fuck you.
You haven't really
doesn't seem to have heard you, and makes his way out.
Dickhead.
Odd notion of normal, but just
I don't really want to tell the wizards I'm a magic person.
No, they'll get all excited.
I guess.
Or angry and scary. And
they might get...
Tieflings don't do magic.
Celestia,
Yeah?
something just occurred to me. You know what you were saying before about feeling like whatever choice we make, we end up making things worse? Well,
yeah?
You saw, at least before it was obliterated, a future that was at least better than the present is now. People who are currently having to hide their identity are walking around openly. People who, at this current time in history, are very much the enemies of most people on the surface, are walking among them. Surely that at least proves that a better future is possible. Is it not worth doing what you can to try and bring that about?
Yep. Yeah, there's a point there.
So, as you gather up your new weapons, you make some decisions about what to leave behind in Philippe's tent.
I'll put the net in my bag. Might be useful.
You also take the waterproof bag with you. There is one of those, so you can take things in that.
Yeah, I'll put my book in there.
I'm going to leave everything that will be ruined by water.
Yeah.
I'll assume because prestidigitation, my instruments can be okay. I'm at least going to take the Dionysus guitar, because I feel like that's a guitar literally made by a god. The
Dionysus guitar and the drum are the only two instruments that will function underwater. The xylophone would just about work. Some water resistance issues, so I guess that'd work. The Ophiclyde is staying though. The Ophiclyde and the kit violin are both staying.
Yeah.
They are not going to work well.
I'll leave, obviously, anything gunpowder based, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm going to leave my pistol here, because there's just no fucking point taking it. I'm not going to have time to, even if we don't fight underwater, I'm not going to have time to dry it before we start. That's not happening.
Oh, I might, bows have disadvantage, don't they? There's probably no point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to leave I'll leave my bow as well. No point bothering with that.
Leave your belongings and make your way towards the edge of the camp, where there is where the water rushes up against the rough pebbled beach, and prepare yourselves for a journey down below to face the Sawagin. And I think we will pick up with the start of that journey next time. So, as you prepare to work your way through the hordes of the most shark-like foes you faced, thank you all very much for playing. Thank you all for listening. And farewell from all of us here at Flintlocks and Fireballs. Fair seas and natural 20s.
You make it out, survive and grieve. You try to turn over new leaves, but stains leak through from old ink blots. The past can hit you like grape shot.
So gather your muskets, gather your spears, we'll plunder the shores of Calcinea. No kraken, storm or spell we fear, so come and sail with us, my dear.